Damn, chat. Here we go. Crazy how I said not 3 days ago. Yeah, you know, I'm just coming back. I'm just going to do some gaming. Just going to do some gaming streams, you know. It's going to be fine. And all of a sudden, literally third stream since I come back to streaming. And it's back on the grift bike. It's back on the grift bike, folks. We are doing it. I'm getting my Soros checks coming in. Yeah. You know the score. You know the score. Welcome to the chat, everybody. Hello, Steph. Hello, Frazo. Hello, Fighter Jet. It's really, really good to see you all. Look, I've even got the green screen on the go. Crazy. I put in all this effort just for you, chat. Just for you. Fighter Jet, thank you for the 6 years. The 6 years. Absolutely mental. 6-year sub. Crazy that, like, yeah. 6 years ago, I was doing, like, gaming, just gaming content, just that kind of stuff. So much has changed. So much has changed. And, yeah. Absolutely wild. Thank you so much for the support. What is going on? How are you all doing? How's your week been? We're going to have a look at some stuff that I wanted to take a look at. We got some stuff about the Israeli embassy shooting. We got some stuff about Kneecap, the band Kneecap, and one of their members has been charged with terrorism. And some more stuff about Yemen, Yemeni forces, the resistance, and all that kind of stuff. And then a little bit about sort of like Green Party stuff in the UK, and the sort of like political establishment business that's a bit rubbish. But yeah, we'll get into that as we get into it, and then Africa stuff, some really cool Africa stuff. Well, not stuff. I don't want to say stuff like I got loads of stuff. It's basically a little speech from Ibrahim Traore, who's like essentially from the school of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso, current leader. Red Planet were like, you know, oh, this guy sounds pretty based. You know, we'll keep an eye on him. And lo and behold, he's getting more and more based by the minute. So yeah, welcome in. Hey B-Rat, how you doing, Prince? Good to see you. How are you? Oh God, I thought that my windows were like fully open then, but they're not. Like there's just like a loud. Oh, they are kind of open a tiny bit. Let me just give me a second. It's like, why is that car so loud? And it's because I've had my windows open just like a tiny bit because it's been, you know, it's been a little warm. It's getting there. We're getting into the summer again, aren't we? You know. Rat Freak, welcome in. How are you doing? Good to see you. The gang's all back together. Yeah, I had a pretty good day yesterday. I was a little stressed. I went to the all-member meeting for GMTU. Some of you know, like, a little bit of the troubles that I've had with GMTU recently, but I'm not going to go too much into it because it's not fair to sort of, like, you know, talk about the drama of what's going on in an organization, especially one that you've been helping to organize and stuff. My detractors would say things like, he's doing this so that he doesn't sound bad. But I maintain that I did nothing wrong, which is true. Yeah, we went to the all-member meeting yesterday, and I resigned like a month ago at this point, maybe 3 weeks ago. Just because, you know, I just didn't have any influence on the committee anymore. Like, everyone just didn't like me anymore. But they didn't understand just like how bad they were organizing and stuff. So like another member came forward with like a motion to like stand down the committee entirely. And that passed last night, 44-4. So the entire committee has been stood down now, and there's going to be an interim committee. They're going to get some important policy work done and stuff. You know, this is it. Your detractors clearly don't know all the times you say stuff to sound bad. That's right. Yeah, I do it on purpose, don't I? Yeah. This is the thing they don't understand. It's 4D chess. 4D chess. You're ironically getting your kneecap removed as well. Fucking hell, Prince. I hope you're all right. Hope that's gonna be okay. Getting your kneecap removed, is that like forever? You're not getting a new one? I assume you're getting it replaced, right? That's how that works. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, Luigi. So, yeah, we're going to get into some of the news. We're going to talk about some of this stuff that's been going down and hanging out. And then we'll play some video games later. I think maybe I will check out... I'll probably play some Barony. I don't know if anyone remembers that game. It's a bit of a sort of like chill, what do you call it? It's like a, what do you call it? A roguelike. It's like an RPG roguelike. Very good. Kneecap performed in Brixton today. Yeah, this is the thing that I don't get. Like, they've been charged with, one of them has been charged with terrorism, but like, has he been detained? What's going on? Is he on remand? Because, you know, there are plenty of people who've been charged with terrorism for, you know, taking part in really, really like, you know, important stuff, important actions against Elbit systems and stuff, and they're being held on remand currently, you know, with no trial, just like in prison until their trial date, you know, guilty until proven innocent shit. So I'm not saying that should happen to Kneecap, but I'm just saying, you know, why is it one rule for one and not rule for like all the other like 26 people who are in prison for pro-Palestine related terror offenses? Something to question, you know, something to question. Question everything. I hope the audio levels are all right, chat. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope the music's not too loud, etc. Yeah, let's get into this. First thing that I want to sort of talk about is the Israeli embassy shooting stuff. Yeah, this is a bit crazy. There were 2 Israeli embassy workers in Washington on Wednesday, and they were killed. The New York Times here, obviously genocidal apologists. Oh, I've just realized the chat is in front of my face. Hang on. Genocide apologist Rag, the New York Times, is literally doing more genocide apologia by sort of talking about, oh, it doesn't look good for the pro-Palestinian movement. Doesn't look good for the pro-Palestinian movement, does it, chat? It looks bad. It looks so bad on them. It's so bad on them that this happened, and it was definitely orchestrated by everyone in that movement. That's what we're implying here. You know, it's just a depraved, disgusting commentary. It's still, you know, the exact same, like, kind of thing. This is sort of like one of the best responses to this. Pretty wild how you journos never said anything like that about Zionism when this murder happened. You know, you've got this like actual evil, like comic book villain, psycho grandpa that killed a baby boy. You know, just because he was Palestinian. Like, you know, these fucking depraved consent manufacturing bastards have nothing to say about this guy, and it's beyond the pale. You know, we live in a world now where it just doesn't matter what happens. Like the line of the Imperial Core is what it is, and that's it. If only the whole Palestinian movement had done even more non-violent protesting, surely Palestine would be free now and the genocide over. This is the thing, you know, there's no such thing as like a perfect movement. Like, it's never going to be good enough for the state to accept it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, you know, they're protesting loads, so maybe let's stop giving weapons to Israel. And it's like, it's just, it doesn't happen like that, you know. These kinds of things are inevitable, unfortunately. I'm not saying it's good. You know, MI5, MI6, CIA, ICE, immigration, Gestapo police who are watching the stream, putting me on a list, writing down everything I'm saying. Just to be clear, I'm not condoning this kind of thing. I think it's bad when people kill people, but what do you expect? You push and push and push you know, the working class to the absolute limit. If you have you know, people who broadly understand that there is just so much bad going on in the world, and seeing it happen on like a daily basis, and not just seeing it happen, but seeing like in the face of it, governments, people who have the power to stop it, people who have the power to do something about it, just simply do nothing about it. not do anything whatsoever, people will try and take things into their own hands. That's just how things work. It's just how it works. Like, what can you expect? People are just gonna, like, be like, nah, okay, right, well, I'll give up then. Doesn't work like that. You know, we got world's best problematic fave Norman Finkelstein with some commentary on this. This is like 40 minutes, so I'm not sure how much of this we're gonna watch. This is Useful Idiots. I don't know if anyone knows what this show is. I don't know if I don't know. Let's see what these folks are saying about it. I think they're just like,
hello and welcome to Useful Idiots.
Chatting to each other for a bit.
I'm Aaron Mate. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, it's Aaron Mate. Oh, no way. I didn't know it was Aaron Mate.
Website, as always, is usefulidiotspodcast.com. Go there to support the show and get bonus content. On this week's episode, we have...
all right. let's jump ahead to the norm bit. Talking about the Israeli embassy shooting. Hopefully he doesn't mention the woke. Hopefully he doesn't mention the weak left. Political expert Norman Finkelstein,
who so many of us rely on for his analysis on Israel-Palestine. He wrote a really important book about Gaza. Actually, one of the few works out
there. So, for those of you that don't know, I think Aaron Mate is Gabor Mate's son.
There. You know, the few political histories of Gaza.
It's called Gaza,
An Inquest into Its Martyrdom. That's a vital read. And he has a new book coming out later this year called Gaza's Gravediggers, an inquiry into corruption in high places. And this is where Norman takes a look at the world's highest court, International Criminal Court, and how basically for all the activity that's happened there, and there have been arrest warrants against Israeli leaders, Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, that's also been a source of a huge cover-up of not holding Israel to account for war crimes. And that's what Norman focuses on in his forthcoming book. But today, on today's show, we're going to talk about all the latest in Gaza and Norman's unfortunately very bleak outlook for the future. So let's go to Norman Finkelstein.
Damn, dude, I can't wait to hear Duma Finkelstein. I can't wait.
Norman Finkelstein, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, Steen, sorry, I keep getting them wrong.
My pleasure, as always.
Let's start with what is the top news in the U.S., the shooting of two Israeli embassy officials outside an event in Washington, D.C. What we know so far is that the alleged shooter chanted Free Palestine. There's also a manifesto that's been purported to be written by him, although that we haven't confirmed that. There's so much going on in Gaza, atrocities day by day. I feel a little, it feels a little inhuman to talk about two deaths in Washington when there's hundreds, thousands of deaths going on in Gaza. But what is your reaction?
Well, my first reaction is that before a public, you have a responsibility not to just throw the bull. You have to have the facts and then make a careful evaluation on the basis of the facts. When I first read about this morning, my initial reaction, I thought it had occurred at the Israeli consulate. And I assumed it was a Palestinian who had committed the action. And my first reaction was to remember, I don't know if you folks will know, the fellow Herschel Greenspan. He was the one who assassinated the second level diplomat in the German legation, I think it was in Paris. And he was.
So this is a huge thing. Okay, so this, I think I know what he's gonna say. I've heard people talk about this particularly in relation to these shootings. Herschel Greenspan was a Jewish communist. He was a teenager, and you know, some people would probably say rightfully tried to assassinate some top-ranking Nazi officials. Can't remember if he was successful or not, but he at least tried. He very well might have done. Should we have a quick Google? I'm pretty sure that he did. Herschel Greenspan, Gryn. Greenspan, sorry, Greenspan, not Grinsman. Hold up. Yep, this is the guy. He was a Polish Jewish expatriate born and raised in Weimar, Germany, shot and killed the German diplomat Ernst von Ra in 1938 in Paris. So the Nazis used this assassination as a pretext to launch Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass, pogrom of 9th to the 10th of November 1938. Grinspan was seized by the Gestapo after the fall of France and brought to Germany. His further fate remains unknown. So yeah, you know, this is it. It's this is what I think he's going to be saying. He's going to be saying, look, you got to be really careful when someone does this, when there's some actor who does a thing like this. People can be quick to celebrate it, but it could result in some horrible repercussions. I mean, yeah, of course it could. Like, I don't know what my take on this is, to be honest. So let's just see what he says.
Was Jewish, Herschel Grinspan, and that triggered Kristallnacht.
Yeah.
And if you look at the literature on Grinspan,
I'm just going to grab some
speculation about him. He was an obscure figure. He had reacted to reports about the forced movement of Jews. I think it was either in Germany or Poland. I think it was Poland. I can't remember. In any case, he reacted in sheer horror at what was being done to the Jews. I think it was his parents among them. And he did an act. He went into the German legation in Paris and he shot the second person in charge.
I love that word, and he did an act.
The Germans called it an act of terrorism, and that's what triggered Kristallnacht. In those circumstances, given that he did assassinate a representative of the German government, and as a representative of the German government, he bears responsibility for the actions of the German government. I'm not aware of anybody who condemned Grinspan. And I've read the literature quite closely. I'm not aware of anybody who condemned him for the act, even though you could say it was not a very smart thing to do because it triggered Kristallnacht.
When you say aware of anyone who condemned him, who are you referring to?
I mean, historians. I mean, that was...
Yeah.
It triggered Kristallnacht.
It's pretty hard to, criticize someone who assassinated a Nazi, right? It's pretty difficult.
So obviously there's a lot of talk about that incident.
If someone is a fascist, if someone advocates for a genocide, if someone advocates for the forced displacement of people, ethnic cleansing, no matter how they dress that up in fancy wording or say that it's some kind of retaliation for anything, that person is a fascist, right? That's the same thing the Nazis did. It's very hard to condemn someone who assassinates a Nazi. Very hard. But I condemn it because I'm built differently. I'm a built differently guy. Yeah. I condemn it because, like I say, I've got that power within me to do that. Not many people have, but I can do it. MI5 and CIA listeners.
So that was my initial reaction.
He could have just written a strongly worded sign. Yeah, why didn't he do that?
It didn't occur.
Why didn't he just peacefully protest? Why are these left-wingers so violent?
In the Israeli consulate.
Why are they so violent?
It occurred apparently in front of a Jewish museum in Washington.
Sophie, Abby, and Joe locked in all at once. This is crazy, chat. 3 of my favorite women of all time, literally in the same room watching my stream. Legends. You know I love you.
Clear at this point whether the alleged perpetrator or whether he was even aware that these 2 people worked in the Israeli consulate, or they just happened to be in front of that museum.
I think it's confirmed, right? I think one of them is definitely, what was the guy's name? I can't remember. He's a disgusting bastard, by the way. I don't know if anyone knows the ins and outs of the guy. I posted about it on Blue Sky the other day. Yeah, this guy. Yaron Lishinsky. Apparently wasn't Jewish. Oh shit. Give me a second. Not used to this. Yeah, apparently wasn't Jewish. Christian Zionist, literally served in the IDF. Did propaganda for him at the embassy. It's crazy. I've seen like a lot of leftists like still calling this anti-Semitic, and it's like you have to understand that, you know, we should be past this now. We should be past this now. You know, it's obviously like, you know, very, very scary. I do think that you know, there will be real anti-Semitism. That I've seen real anti-Semitism, literally real anti-Semitism. You know, just people hating Jews for being Jews, nothing to do with Israel. But like trying to connect it to Israel, I've seen it as a result of you know, the commentary around what's going on in Israel. But again, you know, we have to remind everybody that it's the fault of Israel that's happening. It's nothing, you know. If there is a thing that's happening, like Eli Valley does like really good information about this, right? Well, he does really good examples of this in his comic. It's where like some IDF soldiers are kind of like in a circle. Let me see if I can find this. Eli Valley IDF soldiers, Israel anti-Semitism. It'll just come up with loads of articles about how Eli Valley is an anti-Semite, won't it? What is it now? It's the one where they're all in a circle and they're going, can you believe that anti-Semitism is growing in the diaspora? Can you believe it? And it's all because they're saying that Israel bombed people. And all this shit. Oh, damn, I can't fucking find it. Hey, Johnny, how you doing? Oh, I'll let this video play anyway.
So that throws a large number of variables into the equation. I did read the alleged manifesto he wrote. Everything alleged, because we really don't know. And I have to say, it was at quite a high level of sophistication. He talked about an incident in Guatemala with a Guatemalan doctor who was operating on some patients, and then the Guatemalan, what were they called back then? They weren't called terrorists, paramilitaries. They came into the hospital and they killed the patient, and the doctor commented about how he sees the murderers walking in the streets all the time.
I've been reviewing the history of armed rebellion, and it appears that terrorism is an effective way to promote political change. Yep, that's right. He does say that, the Dataman.
Heartless grin. And then he talked about an incident with a figure who was very famous in my generation, the Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara.
Right.
The Vietnam War was famously called McNamara's War. And somebody who sought revenge on him. And I know the Vietnam War like the back of my hand, and I wasn't even aware of this incident. So I'm bringing it all up because there seems to be this big disconnect between a sophisticated manifesto and a fellow just going randomly in front of a Jewish museum in Washington and attempting to assassinate two people who presumably he thought were Jewish, although there's no reason even to presume they were Jewish. It could have been just visitors going to the museum. So everything remains foggy now. I would say for me, a bottom line is it could have been a nutty guy. That's always possible. Ted Kaczynski, you know, he was...
Okay, I found something kind of similar that's an Eli Valley thing. What about actual anti-Semitism? Zionist leaders put it plainly, Israel is the greatest engine of anti-Semitism in modern history. Here's May Golan, Israel's fascistic Minister of Social Equality and Women's Advancement, months into the Gaza genocide. I am personally proud of the ruins of Gaza, and that every baby, even 80 years from now, will tell their grandchildren that the Jews did what the Jews did when their families were murdered and raped and their civilians were kidnapped. It's like, yeah, I mean... you know, it's the fault of Israel that this shit, like, you you just can't say that you're acting in the interest of Jews and do this stuff and expect people to not use that as an opportunity. But you know, the reason that they do that is it feeds into Israel's entire modus operandi, if that's the right word. I don't know. It's like literally, if you scare diaspora Jews enough into like moving to Israel, then you're like creating more colonists, right? That's what's happening. Yeah. Oh my God, it's terrible and scary living in the diaspora. So come to, you know, in the diaspora where it's like, you know, I'm not saying it's not likely whatsoever to be killed by, you know, a psycho-fascist, but like if you move to Israel, you are far more likely to get killed, probably by Israel, not even by like Palestinian militant movements, probably like literally just by Israel. Like if you get like taken hostage by you know, the Palestinian resistance, it's far more likely that you will get killed either as a result of being bombed by Israel or by, you know, not getting the right medical attention or food or whatever because Israel is trying to starve Gaza and Gazans. You know, it's mental. Yeah, so one of the Israeli embassy employees killed Wednesday had served in the Israeli military and called the UN's remarks, warning that thousands of babies in Gaza could die within hours without humanitarian aid due to the Israeli blockade, a blood libel. And this is the thing that's happening, by the way, folks. This is like sort of the new line on this. My partner was in a charity shop earlier today, and she sent me a picture of this book. It was called Israelophobia. By this guy, Jake Wallace Simmons. Let me see if I can show you this. Surely I'll be able to show you this. Yeah. And I had a look at this guy. The guy who wrote it is called Jake Wallace Simons. And I had a look at this guy on Twitter. And yeah, check this shit out. It's fucking fucked. So, like, where's the book? There's the book, right? Jake Wallace Simons, Israelophobia. So we can all guess what that's about. And this is the kind of shit that Jake Wallace Simons says. So he's a hack. I think he writes for The Guardian. I can't remember. So below is a list of all 13 MPs who disgraced Parliament this week by repeating the 14,000 babies will die within 48 hours lie in the House of Commons, which has incited a great hatred of Israel and Jews and caused community tension, blah, 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 blah. You know, he's basically like, he's doing like a hit list, like a death list. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you know, we should target these guys. These guys should be targeted. Especially considering that fucking, you know, what was it? The IDF shot at some Western diplomats when they were fucking like, they walked on the wrong side of the road. They were like, yo, don't forget who's in charge here, dickhead. It's like, these guys are Nazis. It's just crazy. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, so, you know, this is the kind of thing that's going around at the minute. They're saying that the actual UN advice about how many kids could die in Gaza as a result of being starved purposely by Israel, they're saying that that's a lie. You know, and to be clear, the UN is being not just like conservative with those numbers, but is also like the right actual phrase that they are using, I believe, is it is likely that 14,000 children could die of starvation in the next 48 hours if they don't get food. You know, it's depraved to say that this is a lie. Why would they be lying? If it's a lie, just let aid into Israel anyway. Like, I don't see what the issue is. Like, they're saying that like the entire world knows that there's literally no aid getting into Gaza whatsoever. So just let aid in. You know? It's just completely horrific. Completely horrific.
Was a Harvard graduate.
Hey, Mr. Dank. Hey, Bonbon C3PO. How you doing?
He wrote wasn't altogether crazy, but he embarked on a crazy project. You know, one by one assassinating individuals who he believed were responsible for bringing us to the point of destruction. So it could be a smart guy with a crazy project. It could be a crazy guy with a crazy project. I don't really know. What I would leave it there.
You know, it's interesting. I just have to add that one of the victims of the shooting, they were both employees of the Israeli embassy, and one of them is a Christian Zionist who emigrated to Israel from Germany and joined the IDF and became...
Like, it can't be overstated, chat. It really can't be overstated. You know, I know that most of you all know this, but, you know, this is just the benefit for anyone who doesn't know, or, you know, anyone who might be new watching the stream. You know, the ability to go and serve in the IDF is not just reserved for people who live in Israel. You can go there, you can volunteer. If you want to get away with a legal kill, if you're like a psycho, racist, freak, fascist, Nazi, and you just literally hate anyone who is brown, you can go and join the IDF and get a free legal kill. You're allowed to do that. Israel will give you the weapons as soon as you get off the fucking plane. They'll say, "Do you hate Arabs? Great. Do you love Israel? Yeah." You know, it's crazy. You could just do that. This guy was from Germany.
I wanted to...
Yeah, Christian Zionist from Germany. And this isn't the first... You know, I think the last time I streamed, actually, I'm getting like a memory here. The last time I streamed, I think I was reading an article about a guy who... Or maybe I didn't read it on stream, but I read an article about a guy who was from... You know, he was an Orthodox Jewish guy. No, he wasn't. He was a Christian guy. And he converted to Orthodox Judaism, and his friend who had been a Jew his whole life, you know, not a convert, he just, like, you know, saw him, like, turn into this, like, absolutely vile racist, and you know, he was saying to him, like, you know, I think that you're not really getting the whole idea of Judaism here, and he was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go to Israel, and he went to Israel and, like, served in the IDF and killed children, and yeah. You know, from Germany, you know, this happens like a lot. Declassified UK also recently released like a list of like British IOF soldiers, like people who have been, they've served their time or whatever you call it, like they served in Gaza. So they literally have participated in the genocide, like they've been active in committing war crimes. There's just no other way to say that. Like, you know, serving in Gaza is like going to do war crimes, going to shoot innocent people. That's it. And it's just wild that these people are just like, they're back here in the UK. They walk amongst us. They literally walk amongst us. These murderers, these actual murderers. It is beyond the pale.
To, though, talk about the way this incident is being responded to. And then, of course, we're going to talk about what the media should be talking about, which is the murder and starvation of Palestinians. In fact, I believe Asal Rod tweeted out something very clever, like, so this is what media coverage, wall-to-wall media coverage looks like. It's been a choice up until now, implying that, you know, the wall-to-wall media coverage of this killing is what we should have been seeing about the killing of Palestinians.
Yeah.
But here's one response, which
Absolutely.
comes from Florida Congressman Randy Fine. Let's hear how he responded to this shooting.
The fact of the matter is the Palestinian cause is an evil one.
Yeah, and Congressman, there is a ceasefire.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Let's hear how he responded to this shooting.
The fact of the matter is the Palestinian cause is an evil one.
Expand. Elaborate. What do you mean by that? This fucking Floridian evil Floridian gammon, like Harkonnen orc, like these people are like real monsters, like real actual evil monsters.
Yeah, and Congressman, there is a ceasefire deal on the table right now that the White House is hoping both Israel and Hamas will sign on to. Does this shooting change anything when it comes to the course of the
Friend who had a
war
passport taken,
or the
interrogated because she was going to
negotiations
Kurdistan.
Well, I think it speaks to the
Fucking
importance
hell.
of the only...
Was this from Sweden? It's Sweden, right, Fraser? I can't remember. Or the US, or...
of the conflict is complete and total surrender by those who support Muslim terror. In World War II, we did not negotiate a surrender with the Nazis. We did not negotiate a surrender with the Japanese. We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender.
Oh, these people are psychos. Denmark, yeah. Well, I know that the Denmark government is like super racist. Yeah. Yeah. Horrific.
Surrender. That needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong.
Did he just say something?
That needs to be the same here. There is something deeply...
This motherfucker just said something. Yeah, Muslim terror, yeah, bringing that one right back. Right back. Oh, there's plenty of Danes who've served in the IOF. Yeah, for real. 100%.
Deeply wrong with this culture, and it needs to be defeated.
So
This is it. This is the Kristallnacht consent manufacturing, but against Muslims. It'll just be against Muslims. It won't be... This is the thing, like, everyone needs to understand that, like, all the tenets of organizing still applies to this. All the tenets of, like, what we know... how the state, responds to this kind of thing. It will be people of color first. It will be Muslims first, and absolutely black people. It will be all kinds of racialized people that they target first. It's what always happens. Even with the deportations, the CCOT stuff. It absolutely, like, Venezuelan people of Venezuelan descent, Latino people. So yeah.
how do you respond to that, Norman?
How do I respond to that? Well, the logical conclusion is that we should just nuke the whole Arab world.
Yeah.
If it's the quote unquote culture.
That's what he's saying.
Muslim culture, fundamentalist culture, I don't know what he has in mind. But the logical conclusion would seem to be that we should just nuke the whole Arab world, and that would solve the problem. I don't really, honestly, you reach a point of derangement where it just doesn't seem sensible to engage it. He has the right to say whatever he wants, but to invoke the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in light of the killings of two individuals
It's
in
beyond the
Washington
pale.
is just a degree, a magnitude of derangement and insanity that it's very hard to engage.
There's a big reason why I get on a UFO tip in times like this kind of thing happening. Like, I just want aliens to, like, come down and just be like, yeah, you're not allowed to have these toys anymore, bro. You're not allowed to have these guns anymore. These big guns that you can use to, like, blow each other up. I'm just like, God, please, whatever it is that's real. I don't care if it's like God, the goddess, whatever entity, like universe, like something like Allah, Krishna, like, just fucking, like, UFOs, Mothman. I don't care. Just stop these fucking psychos. You know what I mean?
One should try, I think, to stick to factual issues and not psychiatric ones.
But the problem here is that people like that are...
some people don't see the two nukes as a bad thing at all.
But inside Israel, that kind of thinking is very dominant. You have Israeli politicians.
They keep saying this all the time. Yeah, Aaron Marte is about to say, like, yeah, the Israeli politicians are always talking about nuking Gaza. Nuke Gaza. Like, chat, does anyone know, like, so obviously it would be deranged to nuke anybody, right? It's horrific to, just like an absolutely disgusting, inhumane weapon. Vile, disgusting, should never exist. Beyond that, like, base level of understanding and empathy that we have, for other people, why else would it be a bad idea for Israel to nuke Gaza? Can anyone think? Does anyone have, like, Does anyone have an idea about why that is? Yeah, it's like New Jersey and saying they're going to nuke Philly. It's literally GCSE physics. It's there, bro. it's there. It's not even the settler stuff. It's not even the settler stuff. If they nuke Gaza, they're going to nuke everything. Like, everything. You know, like, areas of, like, fucking Tel Aviv will get fucking incinerated. It's so stupid. Like, mental.
Openly talking about how every baby in Gaza is our enemy.
Classical Foucault quote, anti-Semite tactics. Their words don't have to have meaning.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on Israel right now in terms of its place as a unique society on the spectrum of
don't see the problem. The wall is obviously lined with lead. There's just no way that radiation can enter the Zionist entities' occupation land, you know?
lunacy of just
It's so silly. Like, it's just not like joined up thinking at all.
collective insanity in the same way that Nazi Germany was an example of just outright collective insanity. Like, where do you situate Israel in that right now?
To be perfectly honest with you, as I should be, I do meditate on that question a
The
lot.
radiation will get stopped at a
I'm
checkpoint.
not really sure if my historical scope is sufficient to make a balanced judgment. What I would say is the following things, nothing in extenuation, just putting it in the right historical context. There was a very good book written probably about 30 years ago now by a fellow named John Dowers, Dowers. It was called War Without Mercy. And it was a description of the kinds of language, public presentation during the U.S. war with Japan. And it was on both sides. The Japanese demonizing to the point of satanic description of the U.S., meaning everyone in the U.S., and the U.S. doing the same thing with the Japanese. If you read the book, it's very, very ugly.
That's War Without Mercy chat. I think you can get it on Internet Archive.
How the U.S. depicted the Japanese.
But you should buy it. You should definitely buy it and not pirate it. But I think you can. It is on Internet Archive.
Attitudes towards the tortures of Japanese, the glee at, for example, the incineration of Tokyo during World War II. I mean,
lots of pages are omitted on Internet Archive.
Glee. Then, if you read,
and it gives you purchase options.
Own Indian wars.
So there you go.
They were called.
My hands are clean.
The kinds of insanity that came out of very respected figures. Even in retrospect, if you read Theodore Roosevelt's The Winning of the West, it's a 5-volume work he wrote, and his descriptions of Native Americans will make your skin crawl, I believe. So in that respect, you can't say Israel is completely aberrant in the historical.
Yeah.
In the broad history, these kinds of psychopathic outbursts are not unusual, especially after October 7th, where kind of all the demons in Israeli society, which for one reason or another they had to repress or suppress, all the demons rose to the surface, and all of the ugliness of that society. They felt they now, after October 7th, they had license, they had moral license to publicly espouse. I think a lot of it was repressed. It was there. If you scratched the surface with any Israeli, their loathing and contempt for Arabs in general and Gazans in particular. It was there, but there was it's a Western country, so there was a veneer of being civilized, and the what October 7th did was it enabled the Israelis to free themselves from that veneer and for all the demons to rise to the surface. I would say, on the other hand, I would say Israelis, unlike Nazi Germany, they don't have the pretense or the pretext that they didn't know what was happening. Now, I'm not saying
No, this is like apparently a big thing. It's like some people in Nazi Germany didn't know the Holocaust was happening. I'm not sure about like the accuracy of that. Obviously, the people who were doing the Holocaust did, but like the sort of like broader, you know, you didn't have fucking phones back then. You didn't have iPhones or anything like that. So, you know, if someone came across this thing, like, I don't know, let's say that they like got a letter from someone in Warsaw at like Auschwitz and they were like, whoa, what the fuck? I just got this. And they like show it to someone. You know, if they're like, you know, still complicit with the German state, the Nazi state, they're just going to give it to like a police officer and they're going to be like, thank you very much. And fucking, you know, burn that shit. Who cares? Yeah, we'll look into this, bro. Cheers, bro. In a bit. You know, people said they didn't know, but everyone talks about the signs. Well, this is the thing. Like, I think that's the thing, right? It's like, it doesn't really matter if people like knew or they didn't. Like, the signs were there, and that's the important thing. But that's like, it's so clear with that in like the entire of like Western society. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Nazi war machine did a lot of work to make death camps seem like many other resettlement camps. Awful, but not the final solution. Right? Yeah. I think so, yeah. But still, like, I definitely think there was a large section of German society that, like, if they learned it was happening, they probably wouldn't be bothered. They would be like, yeah, whatever, man, who cares? Like, you know, because there'd been that much consent manufactured against Jewish people that it was like, yeah, you know, they didn't care. And of course, Romani people, queer people, socialists, communists.
Germans didn't know. Germans, even though it was a totalitarian state, even though they were being barraged with the propaganda of this being a Judeo-Bolshevik war that was being unleashed on Germany.
Hey, Vod.
That it was because
we're back.
of the Judeo-Bolsheviks.
We are back, baby.
That the German soldiers were freezing
here at the end of all things.
Literally on the Eastern Front, and they're being barraged with this propaganda over and over and over again, incessantly. The fact is, they may not have known about the concentration camps or the death camps. They knew about the concentration camps. Did they know about the systematic extermination? There is debate about that. But they certainly knew enough to know something horrible was happening.
Yeah, for real.
You have to remember, 50% of the Jews who were killed were just lined up and shot down. They didn't.
This is why when people talk about the detention centers that asylum seekers are being put into, like, you have to call them concentration camps, and you have to invoke that imagery into people's heads. You have to, because at the very, like, you know, Plato's cave amount of information that we have about what's happening there is bad enough, right? They could be doing that to asylum seekers. You know, people talk about CCOT, and it's like, they could be doing that to people in CCOT. We don't know. They could just be gassing people in CCOT and just getting away with it. We just don't know. We just don't know. So yeah, it's important to remember that, you know, that kind of imagery, you know, some people might be like, oh, this is alarmist, and, oh, you know, it's not that bad, actually, and it's fine, and, you know, we've got a lot of time before we get to that level. It's like, we don't know, man. We just don't know.
They weren't in Auschwitz.
We know that bad stuff is happening.
Camps. It was on the front. They're lined up, shot down, in some instances, like Babi Yar, in the tens of thousands. So somebody had to be doing the shooting. And there had to have been conversation about what was happening. So they
Yeah, it's alarmist. We're raising the alarm. Get mad,
they
right?
have a
Right.
pretext or a pretense that they didn't know. The propaganda, the totalitarian state, and so forth. In Israel, everybody knows. You know, at the beginning,
Yeah,
even
this
people
is
like
why it's
Gideon
so
Levy, who I
depraved.
respect for sure, even they were saying, well, the Israeli media is disguising what's happening, and the Israeli media is just an echo chamber of Netanyahu and his cohorts. And so the Israelis are poorly informed. That's, with all due respect to Gideon Levy, that's complete nonsense. Israel has the highest usage of the
Yeah.
internet of any country on earth.
No way. Right. Okay, chat. Mind blown a little bit. Like, I didn't know that fact. Right? Let's just hear that again.
Nonsense.
Right? Are you ready? Here's the fact. Here's the bombshell.
Israel has the highest usage of the internet of any country on earth.
Now, let's line that up with do you remember seeing this stat? Does anyone remember seeing this stat come out of the recent 4chan hacking? The most posts made since 2014 from any country on 4chan was Israel. 2 billion. 2 billion posts. Right? And I'm laughing. I'm only laughing because it's like, you know, like my brain is broken and I'm feeling like a crazy person. Yeah? Specifically on politically incorrect. Politically incorrect. The most racist, the most fascist, the most disgusting, like abhorrent, belligerent, horrible message board on 4chan. Right? Specifically called politically incorrect. Right? Israel, top poster, 2 billion posts. Is that 2 billion? What is that number like? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 200 million. That's still so much. 200 million posts. 226 million posts from Israel about, you know, politically incorrect stuff. Right? So couple that chat with the other information that we know. Not couple it, triple it, because this is 3 things that we're sort of putting together here with Israel. You know, this thing that we spoke about quite a while ago. What's going on here? How do I get rid of that? Get rid of that. Go away. How Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. Worst threesome ever. Yeah. Yeah. Israel's got the biggest internet usage in the world of its population. Hi Fab Forward, how you doing? Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. And the vast majority of 4chan posts on politically incorrect, 226 million from 2014, last 10 years from Israel. Like, again, this is why I'm laughing like a madman. Like, my brain is broken and I don't know what else to do. It's not actually funny. It's like the people who are doing this genocide are the most depraved, scumbag, pedophile, like, posting culture of all time. Like, just think about that. It is sickening that this is where we're at. Like, it's gross. It's like, how have we let it get to this? What is happening? How can anyone sit by and be like, yeah, this is a normal country. This is a normal, fine country that is, like, fine to exist. Like, you have to be shitting me, man. It would have to be hundreds of people's job just supposed to maintain that, which is actually why I don't think a lot of that is Hasbro stuff. I think that that's probably just the Israeli population. All the interns at Hasbro, but also just like every Israeli person. I think that they just all post. It makes total sense. If you have a culture around posting, being like, you have to defend Israel at every point, it's going to turn people into like, literally like deranged, right, I've got to do everything. Like literally like, you know, everything that anyone says about Israel ever online, I've got to be there. You know, you must remember, if you would post anything about Israel, if you would mention the word Israel or Zionism or anything like that on Twitter, I mean, even if you do it now, it'll be the same thing. You will get like hundreds of accounts dogpiling you, being like, how dare you say this? This is anti-Semitism. You don't understand it. It's complex. You know, not all of those guys are Hasbro. Like, Hasbro definitely explains like the most of it, right? Why, like, if you get into an argument with one of these creeps, it'll just go on forever. But like, it absolutely has to be like such a large part of the population, you know?
Israeli.
And again, like, you know, I'm not saying like every single Israeli is like this. I think it's an overwhelming majority. Unfortunately, you know, this isn't a silent, this isn't a majority in like a minority in a country or whatever. It is literally like an overwhelming majority, but there is a minority of people in Israel who like are against this stuff. But I still don't think that they go far enough, because, you know, they just don't even like, you know, remotely think that the right thing to do would be to like literally stand up against the IDF and try and get stuff into Gaza.
These were posting on the social media what they were doing. So whatever Haaretz or Yediot Aharonot or the others were saying, the Israeli soldiers were posting and boasting of what they were doing. Every Israeli knew and knows exactly what's happening. What has happened since October 7th, it is incorrect to describe it as a state project. What
is this new thing that you could do with chatters? We got this new chatter in here, Flying Man 1814. What is this warn? What can I do? There you go. Just sent that. What you could do, check this out, chat. I didn't know you could do this. Right. So you can go unable to fetch account. Wait, what happened? Wait, did they get banned? Wait, what? Are you still here, Flying Man? Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Right, what you could do is let's just try it with Fab Forward, right? Let's just demonstrate with Fab Forward. You can do this new thing. Look at this. You can go warn, issue warnings to chatters for violating this channel's community standards. Select chat rules that the user has violated, or enter a custom reason to warn Fab Forward. We're commies. Prob's best if you accept that early on. There you go. There it is. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're still there. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, there you go. You know, you've had your question answered, haven't you? And you should have read that. You should have read that in the chat rules before you came in here, to be honest. That's why that's there. So, there you go.
Incorrect. It's a national project. Israel has a citizen army.
No, you don't get banned. We just don't engage with you if you're going to try and derail the stream to talk about why being a communist is bad. That's why we say that.
Of the cross-section of Israel.
I don't accept that you're a communist. Okay.
Israeli society.
Good for you, dog.
People carrying on
Doglet.
Genocide.
Good for you.
Are representative of, anchored in Israeli society. If it's not the person, him or herself, it's an uncle, it's a father, it's a brother, it's a son. They all know. A daughter. They all know. They all approve. Every poll taken since October 7th has shown that roughly 95...
This guy, you, brother, please, another Twitch streamer who gets pressed too easy. I'm joking, but like, what about my demeanor in any way indicates to you that I am pressed. Like, I am cool as a cucumber. I'm chilling. Like, you know, let's be real. You don't have to accept that we're communists. That's fine. Literally, like, cool. Like, no worries, man. Like, fine.
5%.
The reason that is there is just sort of like say to people, like, you know, just it's probably better if you just accept that we're communists, because, you know, otherwise you're just not gonna understand why we say the things that we say. You know, if you disagree with that you know, ideology, you're probably not going to get along with the chat. It's going to cause you problems. I do try and, like, you know, provide a place for everybody to come and learn about stuff if you want. I'm not going to, like, derail the entire stream to be like, oh, this is what communism is, by the way, but, like, you know, we can point you in the right direction or whatever. But, you know, we're talking about this for the time being, you know. Muel, I don't expect that you live with a cat. Please show me the proof of the cat or ban me. That's a good...
Israelis believe, knowing
that's a good point, Prince.
Well what's going on.
The question is whether I'll be able to get him out of his box.
Believe that Israel is using enough or too little force in Gaza.
He's looking way too cute in his box. He's all like curled up and stuff. I can't tear him away from that bliss, I'm afraid.
That is 40% think Israel is Jewish Israelis believe that Israel is not using enough force in Gaza. So, in answer to Aaron's question, I have to...
Right, so that's another warning that you're going to get. Flying Man 18, don't disrespect me, the mods, or other chat members. The second warning you've had there, so that's two fair warnings that you've had. Yeah.
Be sensitive to
two fair warnings.
Historical examples I've seen.
There's no need to be belligerent, is there? There's no need.
For example, the U.S. with Japan, the U.S. during the Indian Wars. On the other hand, I do think that at least in the current world, let's say since World War II, this is in a class all its own for many reasons. I mean, the sheer numbers, you know.
You're the new person in the stream, yeah? I know Prince. I've known him for a long time, yeah? You're the new guy in here. And we're showing you some good grace. You know, could have banned you 4 messages ago if I wanted to, if I was feeling like it, you know? But, you know. You're sort of like... Me and you could get along so long as you straighten up. Oh, who do you think you are, bro? Like... Oh man, you know, you're like this guy getting so pressed, like, it's all projection, isn't it? You're getting so pressed, you're just like so offended by like people mocking you for mocking us. Like, you came into the stream and you mocked us. You know, I don't accept you're a communist. Do I get banned now? And then like when people give it you back, you're like, yeah, this is bullying, actually. Can't even say anything because everyone's woke and you don't know what's going on. Shut up, you fucking loser.
The 21st century, the last 25 years, it's unique.
Hey, listen, first guy like that.
Nothing like it. You
since I came back.
Use any metric whatsoever. This
guy followed me. The weird thing about this guy, chat, right? The weird thing about this guy is that this guy followed me on, when was it? I got like an email. It was like 2 weeks ago or some shit. I hadn't even started streaming again. Like, the last time I streamed was, I don't know, February? Was it February? And I just saw like 2 weeks ago this guy, Flying Man 1814. It's like drop into the follow. And I was like, what's going on there? And then like another guy called Muel. followed me as well. I was like, did one of my VOD channel videos pop off or something? Like, what's happened? I don't know.
Into a totally
Hey Ingo, how you doing?
what Israel is doing in Gaza. And in terms of it being a national
Long time no see,
project,
indeed.
yes, I do believe it falls into a category. Then the implicit question in what Aaron asked is, what degree of legitimacy does Israel lose as a consequence of the last 19 months? Does it lose its right to exist as a state? Does it lose any
Highlander rules apply. Yeah, I got to go to war with this new mule.
As a state?
Yeah.
I'm sure people wake up thinking that place needs to be wiped out. And
Whoa, what did he say?
I'm sure people wake up.
He's talking about Israel, right? Does it lose its right to exist as a state? Yeah.
See, any longer up thinking that place needs to be wiped out.
Yeah, this is guaranteed that people think this about Israel. I've seen people say it, Hey, Ode to Joy, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well as well. I'm doing great. I mean, I'm not doing great, like, as you can see, like the on the widget at the top there, the dono bar. I am unemployed at the moment, and I've been finding it real hard to get a job. So here we are back on the grift bike. I'm here for my Soros checks. But actually, you raise a good point. It's been an hour since I started streaming chat. As I said, I'm unemployed at the moment. I've been finding it real hard to get a new job. I don't know if you know, but basically I lost my job back in February because I found out that the company I was working for, Allianz, was participating in the genocide of Palestinians by insuring Elbit systems. I tried to organize the other workers, but it was very difficult because it was a remote role, and I found it very, very depressing to be working for like a health insurance company, because that's essentially what they were doing. I felt bad about doing that. Me sort of like meeting a partner who is disabled, kind of like, it woke me up to that element of it as well, and I found it really hard to stay there. So I went on single person strike. Obviously I wasn't asking them to stop being like a health insurance company, because that's just something that's not going to happen unless you get like a huge huge majority from like a workers seizing the means of production kind of thing. But I did ask him to consider having a conversation with me about supporting Elbit systems, investing in Elbit systems, insuring them, with the fact that a genocide is happening, So since then I've been unemployed. I had like a little bit of savings that lasted until about a month ago, and I've been really struggling with the universal credit system in the UK. It's really shit here. They don't give you enough money. I had such a nightmare trying to get my landlord to essentially like get the right documents together so that they could pay me money for my housing, so I'm behind on my rent. So any and all donos would be appreciated. Please go to the sub off Twitch link. It's there in the chat, streamlabs.com/djmuel/tip, and any and all donos would be appreciated, so please consider doing so.
And I try very hard to reason it through. What does the past 19 months mean? But you can ask yourself, Aaron, the Japanese committed horrific atrocities during World War II. I mean, they killed 25 million Chinese.
Yeah.
That very little place called Japan, 25 million Chinese they wiped out. And we don't have to talk about the atrocities committed by the Germans.
Vagina. Thank you so much for the vagina. Holy shit. Who was that? I didn't even see who that was. Catgirl Steph with a £20. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Thank you so much for donating. Really appreciate you, Steph. You're so generous. I really, really appreciate all the support that you've given me over the last 2 years or so. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you a lot. A lot. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for supporting the stream. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. I've just remembered that it wasn't Flying Man that followed me 2 weeks ago, because I've just gone onto my Streamlabs dashboard here, and it was these two guys. So that guy was called the Flying Man, and his account was created in like March 2022 or something. I'm just making a mental note of that because Ingo!
It's not much, but it's something. I hope you find a job soon.
Thank you so much for the £4.20. I don't know why that showed the... It was a different alert. £4.20 should have been the weed alert. Why did that not happen? That's so crazy. But thank you so much for the £4.20. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. That's the wrong sound effect. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate that. I'm still trying to find a job. Yeah, it's pretty difficult, but we will get there. And I'm going to be trying to find, I'm going to be making some more content on YouTube as well. So keep locked to that shit. Chief Indian as well. Hi, how you doing? Welcome in. 420 Blaze It. How are you? It's good to see you. Lost Futures did a good informative vid on Japan during World War II. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we got taught about Japan in school. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I don't think they actually went into in our curriculum how many Chinese people they killed, but they did speak about like the horrific, the things that they did to Chinese people. Like, they certainly spoke about some atrocities. I don't think like the numbers were spoken about, but yeah, it's just wild to like think about. It's absolutely horrific. It doesn't mean that they deserve to get fucking Hiroshima'd and Nagasaki. Do you know what I mean? 25 million we just heard. I don't know if that's true. That's just out of Finkelstein's mouth, so it could be wrong. Yeah, it's been a while. Well, look, I've not been live in a while, so that's it. I've certainly not been doing politics streaming in a while either, like over the last couple of days since I came back. But yeah, I'm back now. I'm back. I'm doing it. We're back on the Griff bike here for the Soros books.
But very soon after World War II,
thank you so much for all the support. Really appreciate it, folks.
For worse, they rejoined humankind. So I don't have an answer. I suppose it's the job of a historian to ponder it. But right now, I guess now is not the time to ponder it. Right now, I think the job is to chronicle it accurately and do what one can do in the current circumstances, which seems rather limited. And
that's what I was going to show you, chat. I was going to show you the names of those two guys. That's why I minimized the thingy. These are the two heads who followed me. So Flying Mule. So that guy was called Flying Man 1814. So let's check out user Flying Mule. Can I do that? This guy looks like a real guy, though. He's got like a profile picture and shit. Hang on. Look at this. This guy's real. 2019. Is he like another streamer or something? I don't think can I like check? I guess he streams. I guess this person streams. Oh yeah. Look at this. I don't think this is the same person, but it's just weird, right? It's just weird that guy was called Flying Man 1814 and we got Flying Mule. I think it's probably a coincidence, right? But what about this other guy? User, like, the username Muffinman88 is an interesting one. Sorry to just be doing this, sort of like house cleaning while we're streaming or whatever, but I think I just want to make sure I'm not opening myself up to any kind of shenanigans. 2025, count made this year, following since May the 12th. This guy is streamer. It's just the 88. The 88 is always throwing me off, you know what I mean? Like, is that guy referencing the alphabetical letter H twice, you know? Who knows? We'll find out as time goes on, I'm sure. Could you be the birth year? Yeah, I know, this is the problem. When you're 35, there's like a lot of people who are like, oh, this guy is my age. And, you know, I was born in 1989, so I'm only 1 year off having that, like, unfortunate birth year for being a Twitch chat member, if you're going to include that in your username, so I get it. Yeah, like 36 years old, yeah. It's just going to be that, right? Probably. Curriculum didn't have that. We did have our English teacher sneaking in some books, reading tasks for senior year, choosing a book that turned out to be Nanking, which is in 1937. Damn. Was Nanking? I'm also 35. Hell yeah, 35 gang. Halfway to 70. I hate saying that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I were that age, I wouldn't use it just for that reason. Yeah, no, it's one of them. And I think sometimes people like will use that to, if they have chosen a username that they really like and they don't want to, you know, they don't want to let go. I did ask learn more about World War II through Close Combat 2 on the PC than through school. We could cover the Holocaust, but that was pretty much it. Yeah. Yeah. Reading a biography of Mao Zedong, 660 pages and 80 pages in. I'm at 1927 as Mao's consolidating and manipulating power to concentrate all the Red Armies. Hell yeah, dog. Hell yeah. That's the real shit.
To bear in mind, who are the culpable characters here? Who are the culpable characters here? And to be accurate about that. Is it Trump? Right now, Trump is the head of state. But did he begin it? Did he open the door? Did the horrors begin with his inauguration? That's just not true. I get many emails every day from people who are feeling hopeless, hoping that I can show some light at the end of the tunnel. And
Nanjing,
there's
yeah.
just something
Japanese massacre in the capital of
morally
China in 1937, right.
abominable.
Yeah.
And this is already a cliche, and I try not to lapse into cliches, that the Times has 3 articles on this couple.
The couple in D.C. who were killed. Yeah.
And 3 days ago, it was reported that 14,000 Gazan babies would die in 48 hours if food doesn't get to them. I think that might have gotten one sentence in the Times. 14,000 babies will starve to death if food doesn't get to them within 48 hours.
They're probably already dead, chat.
There was some controversy about that warning because there was a question of whether that was the exact precise warning or whether the warning was simply that there were 14,000 babies in Gaza who were at risk of starvation. But regardless, whether it's 48 hours or starvation over a longer period, it doesn't matter. The point is the figure was 14,000 babies are seriously at risk over some period of time.
And have already they've already been dying of it. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
That
this is it.
One would think would be noted by our media. That children are starving to death. Not starving to death, they're being starved to death.
And that just...
So I think this is the end of this podcast now. Let's hear his final word on it.
Wouldn't have happened.
It just wouldn't have happened if Israel allowed some aid to get into Gaza. So there we go. We got a little bit on Kneecap from Loki now. There's a bit of a shorter video. Then we're going to get into some Hopium about the Yemeni forces expanding missile targets to the Haifa port. Yemen literally like doing the only thing that any country should be doing to try and prevent genocide. But let's hear about Kneecap.
Talking about Irish hip hop group. Everyone's talking about Irish hip hop group Kneecap.
Irish rappers Kneecap.
Belfast rappers Kneecap.
Controversial band Kneecap.
What do you make of those comments from Kneecap?
Kneecap is pretty disgusting.
They should be prosecuted. UK police.
It's just who's this guy saying they're disgusting?
From Kneecap.
Kneecap is.
Look at the state of this guy. These talk TV hosts are just like, bro, you look like a Muppet that's like in a skin suit, like, and oh, bro, swear to God,
Pretty disgusting.
They should be prosecuted.
UK police have charged Liam Hanna, who is a member of the band Kneecap, with a
She actually pronounced his name pretty Irish, like, just then. Hanna is the right way to say his name.
terrorism offence.
So while the entire media class is talking about a rap group who make music in a language that they do not understand, I looked at who was behind this campaign against Kneecap.
Basically, Liam Hanna literally just like waved a Lebanese flag. Was it a Lebanese flag or was it a Hezbollah flag? Hang on a minute. Let's have a look. Let's get the right information here. Liam O'Hanna flag. Let's see. Flag in support of Hezbollah. So, I mean, let's see. Oh, yeah, it is actually the Hezbollah flag. Yeah. Flags are so sensitive these days. 22nd of April of online video from the event. Well, let's crack on and see. I mean, yeah, this is the yeah. Liam Hanna, 27, been charged by Metropolitan Police after an incident on 21st November 2024. This is from 2024, from last year, November, at the O2 Forum in Kentish Town in London. And it's like, okay, right, let's just be like very, very factual and logical here, all right? So if I was like a robot man and I was being tasked with find the harm that has happened as a result of this, right? So it's something that happened in November last year, and they only found out about it in April, right? April 2022, and it's like, okay, so, you know, if any harm had come from this, surely people would have heard about it earlier. I know that, you know, you can't, like, you know, sometimes things happen and they aren't reported to the police. Sometimes things happen and they aren't, you know, publicized or whatever. But again, you know, there is no sort of like, oh, a guy got killed because he went to the Kneecap concert and was like, I don't like Hezbollah actually, and they all killed him, right? That didn't happen. You know, Hezbollah are like not ISIS. You know, I'm not saying that they're like, they're going to have the perfect politics, they're going to know everything, but Hezbollah are literally like they are a group, a faction that has come out of the oppression of Lebanese people by Israel, right? And the Lebanese government's kind of like refusal to engage with Israel, taking part in the Abraham Accords, shit like that. Like, this is just stuff that happens. You know, not the Abraham Accords, sorry. I can't remember what it was, but like the agreement where they were like, they had the 1967 war. It was like a 6-day war or something. I can't remember. Like all the Arab nations like attacked Israel because they were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I think it's something to do with that. And then Hezbollah were like, "No, our government is not good enough. We're going to take the fight into our own hands." You know, it's just that kind of thing is just inevitable. You know, they're not like beheading people. They're not ISIS. You know what I mean? But of course, they're going to be like portrayed in that way. You know, well, I mean, they could behead people. I don't know, but from what I know, I'm pretty sure they're not. I used to listen to what's his face's fucking speeches. What's his name? Nasrallah, fucking the guy. I can't remember. Zach. Yo, thank you so much for the raid, Zach. How are you doing? Welcome in. Bounce House Junk say Teddy Ruxpin. I used to have a Teddy Ruxpin when I was a kid, and I was like, get that away from me, because I was well scared of it. Amazon Robin Hood, hi. Hope you had a great stream. Zach, hope you're doing well. You know, if you gotta do some stuff after your stream and what have you, go look after yourself. Yeah, new folks, welcome in. My name is djmuel. I'm a politics streamer. I'm a gaming streamer. I do a bit of politics, bit of gaming. I am currently having a look at the Kneecap stuff. So that's what we're looking at the moment. We've got like a video from Loki that we're going to be checking out, where he's going to be telling us about sort of like, there's like been like a sort of protracted campaign against Kneecap. If you don't know who Kneecap are, they're an Irish language band rap group from Belfast. You know, they're very political, you know, they're very pro-Palestine, they're very anti-England, they're very anti-colonial. Really, really good stuff. You know, I'm a bit of I'm not like a huge super fan. You know, I'm not like, you know, mad into the music, but I do like some of the tracks and they're good. I thought the movie was fun. But you know, their message is important, and like it's really good that they're like, you know, using their platform to talk about it. I think it's a super good thing to do. Yeah, these bullshit charges, you know the ones. Mandated Amoeba, nice name. We've got some nice names from the new folks coming in. Thanks for all the follows, by the way. Yeah, if you're into anarcho-communist commentary, activist commentary, organizing commentary, a little bit more about me. I used to be the chair of the local tenants union. I resigned recently, so I've come back to streaming, doing political content, and well, actually, I'm also finding it a bit difficult to find a job, so I'm trying to get back on the grift bike and get some Soros bucks, you know, back in the old bank account. So you know, Antifa super soldiers, rise up. There's a sub off Twitch. Use the sub off Twitch command in chat if you're feeling fruity. Anyway, where am I up to? What was I saying? Yeah, let's take a look at this video. I was just sort of explaining to chat, like, you know, Hezbollah, they're an organization that, you know, literally came out of the fact that Lebanon was refusing to do anything about Israel. You know, yeah, this is it. People tend to get pretty radical ideas when they get bombed. This is the thing. Israel's just like, you know, coming into fucking Lebanon all the time, like trying to invade it, like all over the place. And it's like, you know, if the actual government isn't going to do anything about it, then of course other people who are directly affected by it are going to be like, yeah, fuck this shit. You know, anyway. But yeah, everybody please go follow Zach. He's a great streamer as well. Yeah. Hope you had a great stream, man. If you like my content, you'll love Zach's content. But it's really good that they used the interview with the BBC, or like the statement. Oh, they posted a statement on social media, and it's interesting that that the BBC have like included this. I don't know what the angle is. We know that the BBC is super compromised when it comes to information about Gaza and Palestine and Israel and Zionism in general. So I don't know what the sort of idea of actually like posting this is about, because it's interesting to see the media commentary switch around a little bit in the sort of like, I guess, like opposition to Israel. Like people are now, like more and more media publications are talking about what is going on in Gaza, and you know, even the fucking British state were like, oh, naughty, Keir Starmer is sending you a naughty letter, Israel, don't be starving any more babies, but we're just going to keep sending you these F-35 bombers. You know, too little too late nonsense. And they're blaming Jeremy Corbyn on the fact that Keir Starmer has been so kind to Israel. They're like, oh, well, you know, we didn't want to get accused of anti-Semitism, so we just didn't do anything about the genocide. It's like, oh, okay. Sounds a bit shit, to be honest. If the crime for like stopping babies getting killed is that you get called a name. Sounds a bit wet. Anyway, this is an interesting thing. You know, the Beeb have gotten this. 14,000 babies are about to die of starvation in Gaza, with food sent by the world sitting on the other side of the wall, and once against the British establishment is focused on us. I think that's like, yeah, like you're doing the thing. The Beeb are doing the thing right here. They're doing the thing that they're including in the article. This is pretty much the most horrific thing, to be honest, because Ohanad is the Irish way of saying that name, that Irish name, and they've anglicized it to Ohana. This is like colonialism in real time. Just something to be aware of there, folks. Belfast man. Like if you are an Irish person who supports Irish independence, living in Belfast, and you see this line, it is gonna fucking drive you batty, right? Taking away the language at the point of being investigated for terrorism, for waving a flag, right? Can you imagine how people are feeling about this? Who, you know, are living in occupied Ireland. It's mental. Anyway, hey Lorcan, how you doing? Welcome in. Good to see you. The constant overreacting from the people running interference for Israel is tiresome. As a Jewish person, I don't feel attacked in any way when someone says Palestinian children don't deserve what's being done to them, nor does the Israeli aggression make me feel safer. Yeah, and it's great that, like, you know, the people like you, Mr. Dank, are saying that, like, you know, and you've got to keep saying that, like, you know, we will always support, like, you know, Jewish people who are under fire from Zionists. You know, the wider movement needs to, you know, protect yous and make sure that, like, you know, you're getting the support that you need, because it's so, like, I'm not Jewish, but I've told people about, like, what happened with my family when I was making content. Like, literally, I made an Instagram video, a TikTok video, kind of like this, where I'm talking about what Israel does and stuff. Put it on my Instagram. My step siblings saw it, who are all Israeli Zionists. They're not Israeli Zionists, sorry, they're Jewish Zionists. They're not Israeli. They were born in the UK. And they all collectively disowned me, called me an anti-Semite, said it was disgusting and horrible and depraved that I'd attended their weddings and their religious ceremonies, buried their grandma, stuff like this. You know, just like horrible, horrible, nasty stuff. And that is the way that, like, you know, you can get targeted if you dare to say anything about this by people who are just like so far down the Zionist tunnel. So you know, it's I can understand how tiresome it is for you, Mr. Dank, and my partner as well. Like, her and her family, like, they aren't Jewish, but they've got Sephardi. I think it's Sephardi and Ashkenazi ancestors. You know, and it's kind of like, you know, they're not religious, but they completely are like, look, you know, if it was like a decade before or whatever, we might be religious, or if it, you know, something different had happened, we might have been Jewish, and, you know, we feel sort of connected to this in that way. And it's like, yeah, you know, it's just that, you know, they have a big thing, like, sort of like about that. My brother, who's a dipshit, actually anglicizes his name. There's an MH in the middle of it, which is pronounced like a V, and he spells it with a V these days. Yeah, no, it's just ridiculous. It's like, this is the thing. It's, you know, like Neve, you know, the name Neve, Niamh, and some people change it to Neve, like Neve. When I was learning Irish, it was a bit confusing because I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, there's all these MHs and DHs, and yeah, like, so let me see if I can find this. Dublin in Irish is wild. Here we go. And so this is spelled Baal Atha Cliath, right? But you say it Baal Atha Cliath, and that's kind of like, you know. And it's funny because in Irish, Dublin, like that, which is the sort of like common name for it, as it were, actually just means like Blackpool in the UK. Irish is a great language, and I wish that Duolingo didn't do AI, because I would still be learning Irish. I'd still be learning Irish if... and I started to learn Irish because of Kneecap and, you know, my Irish sort of ancestry. I was like, yeah, I should learn some Irish. Yeah, it's good. I think it's just good. I think it's just good to like learn another language, especially a language that's been colonized and is dying and stuff. You know, keep it alive and shit. And that's kind of what the Kneecap movie is about. You know, the great grandfather's jail cell was in one of the Dublin slideshow photos. Wait, what? Really? Your great grandfather's jail cell? Whoa, 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 whoa! What do you mean? Doglet. In one of these slides? This prison? That's crazy, dog. The Circumcision Rocks says, hanging with my cousin reading dirty magazines. Alright. Okay, cool, dude. Have you seen the Alex Avila bit about AI? I have not. No, sounds pretty good. What is that? Alex Avila? Let's take a... Put that in there and... Alex Avila about AI.
So
AI Wars, this one? Corporations hijacked anti-AI backlash.
You may have...
Take a look at that at some point. Maybe not on stream, but... yeah, we'll see it. Carpe Packs, hello. How are you doing as well? God, we got all the legends back in the chat. Go follow Carpe Packs, everybody. Bottom on the right, under the next photo button. Hold up. I gotta see this. This is crazy, man. Oh, I still got this guy up here. And that guy as well. What's that other window? Yeah, there we go. Excuse me. Oh, wait, why did that happen? Oh, dude. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm getting used to streaming again. Sorry. Bottom on the right, under the next photo button. Is that what it is? Kilmainham Jail? Yeah, it's wild, man. Oh, this one. Literally, this cell. Let's take a look at that. That's wild, dog. That one right there, in between the two things. Crazy. That's crazy, man. Solidarity to your pops, you know what I mean? Solidarity with all prisoners. Fucking hell, I can only imagine why he was put away in there. Right, anyway, so let's get back to the low-key video. He's going to talk about, like, the sort of campaign against Kneecap. Yeah. Cool bit of interesting history about your family there, Lorcan. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's pretty deep, man. Yeah, let's check this out.
Led me to an organization by
before in the 1916 rising. Well, there you go.
Name of
solidarity, real solidarity with him,
Peace.
like
Creative Community
fucking hell.
Peace coordinates directly with the Israeli consulate in Los Angeles. The Israeli Consul General David Siegel, at the time when it was founded, even went as far as to say the Creative Community for Peace is effective because they work from inside the industry. Creative Community for Peace has a roll call of supporters which spreads all across the music industry and Hollywood. It was founded by Dave Renzer, the former head of publishing at Universal Music, simultaneous to him being the husband of the founder of Stand With Us, Esther Renzer. Despite the deceptive name, Creative Community for Peace is one legal entity with Stand With Us, the well-known Israel lobby group. Stand With Us has been funded handsomely by the Israeli Prime Minister's office. This campaign to cancel and arrest Kneecap is directed by the Israeli government.
Yeah.
The Metropolitan Police's counter-terrorism unit have confirmed today that the Irish band, the rap trio Kneecap, are now officially under investigation.
So while the UK police busies itself with pro-Palestinian musicians like Kneecap, there are other people that they should be looking far more closely at. The UK Foreign Office confirmed that prior to October 7th, 2023, at least 80 British citizens were fighting in the Israeli military. Since then, several key Israeli soldiers who hold British citizenship have been identified. Among them, Sam Sank.
Scum.
Sam Sank
Fascist scum.
occupied the role of Master Sergeant within the Israeli military and actually filmed himself participating in the Gaza genocide between December 2023 and January 2024.
Welcome to Southern Khan Yunis. We're in a house. Look at the lovely Jerusalem decorations on the wall.
Scum. Absolute scum. Literally shooting babies.
We're in Central Khan Yunis, Eastern Central Khan Yunis, in a new house. This is going to be our new home for the next few days.
Fuck you, man.
But feeling good, you know?
Fucking Nazis in action, man.
This place stinks. Smell of
shit
everywhere.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Thank you for the dono. That was Fab Forward. Thank you so much for the 420. Thank you so much for supporting the stream and subbing off Twitch. I appreciate you. Every little helps in this time. I meant to say that before to Ingo, who said it's not much, but it's something. Don't worry about, like, you know, feeling bad if you can't afford to donate so much. Literally every little helps at this time. I can't begin to tell you how much it means to me that people are supporting me, you know. Because, yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I thought I was poor when I was streaming beforehand, but hell, like, it's, yeah, it's pretty bad at the minute, gang. No, I'm not gonna lie. Thank you so much, Fab Forward. Thank you for everyone who's donated.
Even met former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson in occupied Jerusalem. Another UK citizen who should be arrested by the British police is Oren Anish. On tape in Gaza, he boasted and vowed to kill these sons of whores.
שלום, קוראים לי אניש, אני מאנגליה. המסר שלי זה לא לוותר על החלומות שלכם. עם ישראל חי. אני 74 יום בלי בית, אבל אל תדאגו. בסוף נגיע ונהרוג את הבני זונות האלו.
Another UK citizen the police should be looking into is Levi Simon. On his Instagram, he posted videos of himself rummaging through the underwear.
This guy, I hear, turns up to pro-Palestinian protests and harasses people. I hear that he does that.
A drawer of Palestinian women in Gaza.
So I'm going through these terrorist houses looking for guns and explosives like we found money.
You little, like, every time these guys, like, speak, it's like, oh my god, you're like the most horrific fucking nerd I've ever heard in my entire life.
At every single house inside of Gaza, this is what I say, every single, unbelievable. 2 or 3 doors stuffed with the most exotic laundry that you can imagine.
Bro, this is fucking depraved, man. This shit is so fucked. You scum.
Just piles of it.
Actual scum.
Every single house. Stuffed to the brim, look at that. Unbelievable. No, I don't even want to imagine what this stuff is, man.
I don't even want to see this, man.
He even uploaded a video to his Instagram of himself inside a school in Gaza.
In Gaza, waving an Israeli flag in one of those schools where they teach terrorism, so we decided to teach something about Israel. We're here.
Like, what does he even think how that's funny? Oh, we're going to teach you something about Israel. Like, you killed everyone in there, bro. Like, you probably killed every fucking child in there. You're not teaching any kids anything.
We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to take your terror.
Yeah, you are, though. Yeah, you are.
Another UK citizen that the police should look into is Daniel Menza. A video was uploaded on TikTok of Menza in which he boasted of his time in the Golani Brigade. Referencing himself and others in the Golani Brigade, he said, "We are the strongest. We are Golanics. We are the craziest." The same Golani Brigade, which later, in March 2025, carried out the massacre of 15 paramedics in Rafah. Was Daniel there? Why isn't the UK government seeking the arrest of Daniel Menza? Another individual that should be arrested by the British government is Rabbi Zachariah Deutsch. He was a chaplain at Leeds University. Video emerged of him dancing in Israeli military uniform with other Israeli soldiers. A key organization.
Just like, I said it before, and I'll say it again, just like a genocide being done by like the most horrific 4chan posters that you could ever imagine in your entire life. They've never been outside before, they've never touched grass, and they're like, yeah, it's time, man, I'm gonna go to the promised land and murder a bunch of kids. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna murder a bunch of kids. Who knows what else they did to those kids, man? Do you know what I mean? Who knows what they're doing to fucking Palestinian kids? Literally genocide tourism, you know?
Which funnels British citizens into the Israeli military is Garan Tazabar. This organization has its offices in Finchley. So while an organization like Garan Tazabar is able to operate freely on UK soil, directing young people towards the genocidal Israeli army, there are also several charities who are materially supporting Israeli soldiers and operate out of this country. Why aren't the UK police looking into the UK Friends of the Association for the Well-Being of Israeli Soldiers? Among the trustees of this organization, which materially supports the Israeli occupation forces, is Richard Kemp, formerly head of UK forces in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh damn, so he's used to killing brown kids.
Is Ziv Remez, who was previously exposed as having involvement in offshore tax havens by the Panama Papers.
Oh yeah.
The UK Friends of the Association for the Well-Being of Israel's...
It is literally genocide tourism. That's what's happening. It's like, you got these like super privileged people, like they're all fucking like middle class losers. You know, some of them are like CEOs that are like fucking... literally like strangling all the money out of the working class, and they're like, yeah, time to go and fulfill my fucking fantasy of like, you know, killing so-called terrorists. Like, I'm gonna go, like, literally a terrorist fantasy, like I'm gonna go and be a terrorist.
Soldiers actually built a swimming pool for Israeli soldiers in the occupied Naqab desert. That is less than an hour away from the Sidi Tayman Israeli prison camp, where Palestinians have been found to have been raped and tortured to death by Israeli occupation forces. Another material supporter of the Israeli occupation forces, which operates from this country, is Technion UK. In fact, when Douglas Murray wanted to raise money for the Israeli army in a failed attempt at an event in London, it was as a fundraiser for the Technion UK organization. This group helps to mobilize British citizens towards the war against Palestine and the wider region, and train them in a myriad of ways, including intelligence gathering. Another organization operating from British soil to support the Israeli occupation forces is ORT. This group trains Israelis in arms companies in this country and has its headquarters in London. Only until recently, those headquarters were in the same building and address as the Community Security Trust, the organization which was taken as an authority on anti-Semitism, when in actuality it has been revealed by Anthony Learman and others that this organization has its employees trained by Israel's external intelligence service, Mossad.
Oh, right.
Another key group that supports Israeli soldiers in this country is the British Friends of Israel War Disabled. This charity focuses on bringing Israeli soldiers into Britain and claims that it has brought over 5,000 into this country. Another key...
We've got 5,000 genocide doers in Britain right now. 5,000 Nazis, 5,000 horrific fascists who have definitely killed kids, the elderly, but like, even beyond that, just like oppressing an entire people, every single like person that they have shot or killed, doesn't matter whether they're in the Al-Qassam brigades, it doesn't matter if they're a kid or whatever, it's just absolute scum shit. Like, they are just the worst, like the worst of the worst.
The UK charity supporting the Israeli military is Beit Halochem, which translates to the House of the Warrior. In one night alone, this organization raised £2 million in London to support Israeli soldiers. Another supposed charity operating in this country is UK Terror. It works to facilitate the funding of military gear for Israeli occupation forces. Through UK Terror,
I think this is like another great example, chat, of like how Israel literally relies on the rest of the imperial core countries in order to operate, right? Like these are raising money to be able to buy military equipment for Israeli soldiers, IDF soldiers, Zionist entity soldiers, right? And it is absolutely, the CC spelling it as torment is pretty spot on, yeah. Yeah, it's an industry into itself. So many businesses exist to support the state. Yeah, this is the thing, and this is why it's like, it's so important to remember that like it would overnight it would collapse if they stop receiving the funding that they receive from various different countries.
An organization by the name of One People, which was set up on October 7th, 2023, is able to equip the Israeli military with tactical glasses, tactical gloves, knee pads, bulletproof vests, and helmets.
So we're here on behalf of One People. We're with Rabbi Elitov's son, Rabbi Elitov from
These fucking Brit fucking bongers, just sicko genocide fucks.
Manchester. Here he is, Yosef Elitov. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. So one People managed to get 33 vests for all of these brave guys. All these brave guys.
Yeah, they're so brave, man. It's so brave to like go into an enclave that's like a concentration camp and just shoot kids like fish in a barrel.
So on the front down
it's so brave.
One People's website clearly states that UK Terror is a partner through which people can donate to it. Why is it that charities who are materially aiding the genocide of people in Gaza are not being investigated thoroughly and arrests are not taking place? Israel has, for its prime minister, arrest warrants issued by the International Criminal Court for the crime of genocide in Gaza. Why is the UK government harassing musicians, activists, tweeters, and Holocaust survivors rather than going after the real criminals? The same individuals that fund these organizations I have just listed are funding government ministers. Rachel Reeves is currently Chancellor of the Exchequer in this country, one of the most important positions in government. Before arriving at her role, she was given £175,000 by Israel lobbyist Victor Blank.
Of course.
Victor Blank financed 3 organizations that directly fund the Israeli army from.
It's dead funny, right? The media loves to like focus on Saudi Arabia or whoever it was. I can't remember which country they gave Trump a jet, right? I can't remember which one. It's like super jet. And it's like, oh my God, they do war crimes, they do genocides, they do all this stuff. Meanwhile, literally every single Labour politician except for like Zara Sultana, a couple of others, and every single Democratic, Republican, senator, congressperson it is literally receiving money from Israel. Like every single one of them, they're all getting dough to support these guys. Fetterman, you know, Fetterman's doom spiral, nightmare holiday. He's getting so much dough. It's just crazy. No one scrutinizes that shit. Everyone's like, oh, scary brown country though. Uh-oh. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not for a second standing up for Trump, by the way, or Saudi Arabia, but it's interesting, isn't it? Which countries get scrutinized and which don't.
From British soil. Those organizations are Beit Halochem, ORT, and Technion UK. What other relationships exist between those that fund these organizations directly invested in genocide in Palestine and British government ministers?
Yep.
All of these organizations operate as charities in the UK. Since when did supporting a genocide and those involved in it become a charitable activity? And why is no one in the mainstream media examining these connections? As you can imagine, it is very difficult to publish information.
Good point. Double Down News is pretty good, chat. Go and give them a follow. It's a bit annoying sometimes. They tend to sometimes use AI generated thumbnails. I think they're getting a bit better at not doing that nowadays. But you know, they have done it in the past. So you know, it's up to you. You don't have to subscribe to them if you want. Fuck all data centers. I hope that all data centers experience huge technical collapses like the Elon Musk one or whatever it was that happened the other day. Do you know, chat, you all know about data centers, right? You know about like how intensely like fucking bad for the environment they are. Like they literally like these huge massive data centers that are now being built to like support AI. Like they're like it's causing towns in the US like to have like a Flint, Michigan moment. And I say a Flint, Michigan moment, like the Flint, Michigan moment is still happening, right? There's literally just like towns in the US where they built these data centers and it's like, yeah, I turned my tap on and it just started like spitting hot acid. Like, where was this now? I can't remember where I saw this. Data center causes, is it like a drought in a town? I can't remember. Big text data centers take water. Case study, water guzzling data centers. This has already been studied by the University of Oxford. Yeah, 500 mil of water used for every AI query or something. Yeah. By the way, I'm trying to remember to do this on Google, by the way. If you add -AI, it will take away like AI responses. It won't use the Google AI, apparently. So if you want to continue using Google, I think you can just like use -AI and that will like stop this might be like a boomer thing. That's not true. I don't know. But I have noticed that I get different results from it that are like a bit more interesting. So I don't know. It might improve your Googling. Yeah, just switch to another search engine, honestly. Like, yeah. Yeah, they're pouring waste into the environment as well. Fears over data centers soaking up water during UK drought. Oh yeah, they're building them in the fucking UK as well. It's just mad. Drought-stricken communities. Look at the size of these fuckers. Like, it's just like a... Right, what we're going to do is we're going to build a massive box in your town, yeah, which is gross and ugly. It looks disgusting. It stands for everything that is, like, inhuman, unnatural, you know, using just, like, the worst shit, the worst fucking, you know, kind of technology that doesn't even do anything good. It makes apologies for white genocide in talking points. Yeah, just fucked. Just completely fucked. Yeah, anyway. You know about that shit, chat. Right. Where was I up to now? Anyway. I was going to watch this one, but I think we should watch both of these from the Electronic Intifada. This is the sort of like weekly update on the resistance. So the first video is a little 11-minute one about the Yemeni forces and what they did this week. So let's take a look at that. I like that because it's more ecologically friendly, and oftentimes the AI doesn't know what it's talking about. Yeah, defo. Yeah, defo. The AI is just like, it's just so fucked. Like, sometimes you'll Google something on Google and it'll just come up with like AI overview, and it's just like it's just a collection of all the different sources that it gets, and obviously there's loads of different like conflicting sources, so sometimes it'll just be dead contradictory. It doesn't make sense. Awful technology. You couldn't even really describe it as technology. It's large language models in it. Anyway, we got John Elmer from the Electronic Intifada.
To Yemen, you are watching and listening to the Electronic Intifada. I am John Elmer. This is the Resistance Report for day 594. This is the second part of the Resistance Report, in which I will focus on Yemen. If we take a look at the first map, it's been 2 weeks since the since the American operation abruptly ended. The war on Yemen.
I still can't believe that happened. Absolutely wild.
We have seen the Yemeni forces Yemeni armed forces increase their attacks against Israel since the United States has left this war. 18.
It's absolutely, chat. Can we just talk about? We spoke about this on Red Planet, by the way. So if you've not seen sort of like my commentary or Sophie or Tim's commentary on this, like go and check the Red Planet episode where we talk about this. It's like a couple of weeks ago. Look, like I'm not saying that Trump is going to be saying free Palestine. I did have like a tinfoil hat moment where I was like, is he gonna stop funding Israel? Is this gonna happen? Is this the end? Because he's such an unpredictable guy. Do you know what I mean? He's literally so unpredictable. And if he thought it would be good for him, he would do it, right? He would literally do it. And he's trying to cozy up to all these like Arab nations, and he went to the I can't remember which country it was. It was either the UAE or Saudi Arabia, and he was like, don't worry, you don't have to do normalized relations with Israel anymore. And this sent the Israeli press into like a frenzy. They were like, oh my God, America's dropping us. It's the end. It's over. It's gone. And I was losing my mind. I was like, is Trump going to say from the river to the sea? You should go and check out the news episode that me and Sophie did on Red Planet Patreon. You should be able to get that even if you're not a paid member. So go and listen to that episode, because Sophie does the best woke Trump impression I've ever heard. It's really good.
Ballistic missile and drone attacks in the past 2 weeks targeting Ben Gurion Airport as part of the aerial blockade that the Yemeni armed forces are trying.
An opportunity to get a seller-curated news service which filters the news for you. This post will be brought to you by Ground News. We're not suspicious at all. What's the deal with Ground News? Is it a rogue company?
Israeli economy in solidarity with Gaza, including one missile attack today. If we look at the next one, it's this missile ranges, and this is going to be relevant for this resistance report on Yemen, because you can see the bands cover beyond. They go all the way to Beirut, and the reason why I want to show that this time is because, as I will point out later in the show,
you got the link to that RP post. Let me give you
their target.
Give you a permit. Go for it.
To include the Mediterranean port.
Thanks, Steph.
Haifa. So the missile range.
Great work.
Is relevant this week, as we see in this next slide. This is from the Yemeni Armed Forces announcement about the blockade of the Haifa port. It says, in response to the Israeli enemy's brutal escalation against our brothers and their families in Gaza, committing dozens of massacres each day, and in response to the continuing siege and starvation, the enemy's refusal to halt its aggression and to lift the blockade, the Yemeni armed forces have decided to carry out the leadership's directives and begin enforcing a naval blockade on Haifa port.
This is great. Can you see this text, chat? You might not be able to see it because it's a little small on my stream, but it has there in Arabic and Hebrew and English: no longer safe, closed. It's just so based. The metric Ground News used to determine what's left and right wing is pretty lib-coded. They're very aggressive in commissioning sponsored ad reads like it's not just some more news. I know a ton of people who are very suspicious of him. Right? Yeah.
Accordingly, we will notify all
makes sense.
Whose vessels are
makes sense.
currently in that port or bound for that port. For the moment that this statement is issued, Haifa Port has entered our bank of targets, and they must treat what is stated here and in any future notices with the utmost seriousness. The decision follows our successful blockade of the Eilat port, which has long since ceased operations. So the Haifa port now follows the aerial blockade that the Yemenis put on, and we haven't reported on Yemen in the last 2 weeks, so I wanted to bring you this video. The next one, number 23 here, shows the Yemeni aerial blockade video that was released for the Israelis to see. The Yemeni armed forces announced the aerial blockade of Israel earlier this month, in the days after the U.S. announced that they were stopping their attacks on Yemen in early May. This has a voiceover of Brigadier General Yahya Sari, the spokesperson, and says, in response to Israeli aggression in response to the Israeli escalation.
They never, ever, ever call it Israel. It's so good. They just call it occupied Palestine. They're just, Yemen.
And by the decision to expand the massive ground operation in Gaza, the Yemeni armed forces announced that we will work to impose a complete aerial blockade of the Israeli enemy. The decision to ban air navigation to the airports of occupied Palestine, as well as to ban the passage of Israeli ships in the Red and Arabian Seas, and in addition to the support operations, will continue until the aggression on Gaza stops.
They also mock Israel by using this kind of wording, because it's literally just this is the exact kind of shit that Israel, the Zionist entity, says to Chazans in Gaza. They're like, yo, these areas are not safe, so don't go there. You know what I mean? But it's likely that the Houthis in Yemen are actually talking about the actual, we're not just saying that these areas are unsafe, because then when civilians leave, we're going to go and bomb those areas that we know they're going to go in. They don't give them alternative safe zones to go. They just go, yo, don't go here. We're not going to touch anything else.
And the siege is lifted. And
unlike the Zionist entity,
Israel's 3 international airports, Tel Aviv, Haifa, and Eilat. That's Ramon Airport in the south of Israel. So in this next scene, you can see the evacuation notices. These are evacuation notices that the Yemenis are issuing in the same way the Israelis do it.
Yep.
This evacuation notice went along with a statement from the Yemeni armed forces that said, the evacuation warning has been issued to Ben Gurion Airport. In the coming hours, the Yemeni armed forces will bomb Ben Gurion Airport and other Israeli airports due to the recent escalation against Gaza and the aggression against Yemen, because Israel attacked Yemen this past week for the 8th time since the war began, and destroyed the Sana'a airport. Israel said that the Sana'a airport would be out of order for months. It was out of order for less than 10 days.
It's so good. It's they just can't deal with how effective and efficient Yemen is when it comes to cooperative cohesion amongst the populace and workers who are yo, rebuilding this airport is part of the war effort, and our cause is just, we're standing up for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Let's rebuild this fucking airport. They rebuilt it in 10 days. It's yeah, man, come on. Come on. Oh.
The Yemenis rebuilt, and planes have been landing there after 10 days of it being destroyed, and they have been for a number of days since then. The warning says that all remaining airlines and those present at the airport, especially foreigners, are requested to leave immediately for their own safety. And they have backed this up, as we can see in this next slide. These Yemeni missile strikes have been a daily occurrence for Israel, sending off sirens that have 2+ million people running to shelters, and they have been doing this with with supreme confidence. When Trump was in Saudi Arabia last week, the Yemenis fired 2 ballistic missiles over his head when he was speaking in Saudi Arabia as part of their daily attacks, virtually daily, sometimes twice in a day, attacks against Israel. And late last week, we saw one of these attacks where 4 interceptors were fired at a single ballistic missile.
This should also show you, by the way, like this is the literal post from Israel Defense Forces. This is like a location marker of all the sirens that are going off because they've detected a missile that is on its way, right? But it just kind of goes to show, like, yo, listen, we don't know. We have no information about any of this. We don't know where it's going to go. Everybody should shit themselves and panic and run around and not know what's going on, because that's just how it is, you know.
So those are Arrow 3 interceptors. That's more than $10 million in interceptors that we hadn't.
Also, we've just sort of gone past 2 hours of streaming, folks. If you don't know, I'm currently unemployed. I've been out of work since February. I lost my job at Allianz because I stood by my principles and demanded that they have a meeting about their continued involvement in investing and ensuring Elbit Systems, which is Israel's biggest weapons manufacturer in the UK. They didn't want to do that, and they sacked me. I'm pretty sure that they broke some employment law stuff, but because you have very little legal protections when you're an employee for less than 2 years in the UK, thanks to the Tories and Labour, it means that I didn't get a chance to do anything about it. So unfortunately, that's where I'm at. I'm finding it hard to find a job. So please consider donating. Please consider subbing off Twitch. There's the link in the chat right now if you are so inclined. Or if you want, you could go ahead and sub to my Patreon, which I would actually prefer if you do a sort of continuous donation to my Patreon. That would be very, very much appreciated. So either or would be very, very much appreciated. I don't have like alerts on for new patrons, so if that doesn't show up, I do apologize. But yeah, appreciate the support. Anyway, thank you so much.
Seen the interceptors launched in quite that way, so we know that they're using tens of millions of dollars for every strike. We also know that the THAAD system that the United States moved into Israel to protect Israel, that they're launching $12 to $15 million for a single interceptor. And last week, the THAAD missile system launched multiple missiles and missed with both of them on 2 separate occasions. So tens of millions of dollars, and each instance being burned on these Yemeni strikes. And as I said, Israel attacked Sana'a airport and it was quickly rebuilt. Number 26 here shows you the USS Truman. This is the aircraft carrier strike group that was attacking Yemen. The Yemeni forces targeted these carrier groups, according to Abdel Malik al-Houthi, including the USS Truman and its warships, and the USS Vinson, who came recently.
Does my stream keep fucking up? I keep seeing some weird shit happening on OBS. Does it keep like going what or something? What the fuck is going on?
With more than 131 operations, including 253 anti-ship ballistic missiles, anti-ship cruise missiles, and drones, according to Abdel Malik al-Houthi in his speech on Thursday. And the Admiral James Kilby, who is the...
Sorry, I missed that in the chat. Oddly, Kim Stanley Robinson kind of predicted this. This is the guy who did the... This is the guy who did the Mars trilogy that Sophie likes, right? Plotline in the Ministry of Future is all about eco-terrorists using drones to crash planes in order to make commercial flight less attractive to people. It works in the novel. Yep. Well, it's working here, you know? It's working here. This is the thing. Like, loads of international flights just, like, stopped going to Lod Airport. And, you know, loads... Like, there is just no activity going on at Eilat Port. There's no activity going on, I think, at Haifa Port. I can't remember. I'm not quite sure about this. But, like, you know, Yemen's having, like, a significant effect on Israel's trade and tourism, which is super important.
Acting chief of U.S. naval operations said that the Truman...
I'm going to keep an eye on OBS. Don't worry. Appreciate that.
Smooth
like butter here. All right, cool.
From its planes on shore in Yemen, and they intercepted 160 enemy in this case, Yemeni drones and missiles during its 5 months it spent in the Red Sea. The New York Times recently reported on this operation based on Pentagon officials that they spoke to that said that they had burned through more than $1 billion in armaments protecting the carriers and their warships in the first 30 days alone of the 52-day operation, suggesting they spent more than $1.5 billion on vertical launch missiles to protect the aircraft carrier strike group from Yemeni drones and missiles. That's, of course, on top of the 8 MQ-9 Reaper drones that were lost just in that window of time. We know that more than 24 have been lost since 2017.
Great.
In that window of time of the American operation, 8 MQ-9 Reaper drones were downed, 30 million apiece plus. We know about the 2 FA-18 Super Hornets that were lost, $70 million jets.
Oh God, yeah, when they fell off the jet, they fell off the boat.
Truman aircraft carrier was carrying out evasive maneuvers to get out of the way
Incredible
of Yemeni
shit.
drones.
Incredible
missiles,
shit.
And that was the 3rd F-18 that was lost on the Truman's deployment that time. So after Trump said that they were not going to...
Have they tried looking behind the couch for the planes? No, they know where they are.
They're
in the fucking Red Sea.
Turned heel and headed home. And like I reported over the past number of weeks, that Truman was supposed to head home anyway. So they were going to be limping home with 3 less jets and $1.5 billion of vertical launch missile defense capabilities expended. But this is here the confirmation from the Sentinel-2 satellite of the USS Truman and its escort vessels on its way out through the Suez Canal through the north and into the Mediterranean, which you can see in this next slide in the Mediterranean. The Central Command, the President of the United States promised to annihilate completely, that is a quote unquote, Ansar Allah. Clearly, that did not happen in any way, shape, or form. CENTCOM said that they carried out strikes on 11,000 plus targets. Abdul Malik al-Houthi said that there was 1,712 U.S. strikes in total. CENTCOM says targets, so sometimes targets are hit with multiple strikes. That accounts for the difference in the two numbers. And like I said, they lost all of their hardware. And that is the carrier strike group steaming through the Mediterranean on its way back home to the United States. And we can see in this next slide, the U.S. Air Force B-2 bombers, which was half of the B-2 bomber fleet that was sent to Diego Garcia to also bomb Yemen. That is them arriving back in Missouri in the United States. That happened earlier this week. So all the B-2 bombers are gone from the American operation.
Mental.
And as Israel pointed out this week, they're on their own to fight the Yemeni threat on their own. The Americans.
Sorry, can't find it anything else other than funny.
So that is the resistance report on Yemen for day 5.
Thanks very much, John. Let's check out this ambush. It's always good to hear about these ambushes. Especially now while we're hearing about so many, massacres of civilians and stuff like that. It's very rare that you get to hear about the actual sort of good news of active resistance in Gaza and how it is actually, helping. Literally, the US lost a 50-day battle to Yemen. That being, it's crazy because like this is the whole thing about Yemen. Is that they have been absolutely battered. Me and Kira Chats, free Kira Chats, by the way, did a whole stream on Red Planet. It's on the Red Planet channel. You can check us out on the YouTube channel talking about Yemen, the history of Yemen, because it's really, really powerful, like how they have been attacked and attacked and attacked. They've had attempts at genocide, like Saudi Arabia were fucking with them. The USA have fucked with them. Like so many different countries have like tried to destroy the Yemeni people, but they always like come together. And Sophie's described them before as like a megazord. Like they literally just come together as a cohesive people. It doesn't matter if they have disagreements between like the Houthis and the other like Yemeni factions and stuff like that. They all just come together like as a whole people. Like they are actually like the most densely populated country in the Middle East as well. That's like another interesting thing. I don't know in the Middle East, but certainly in like the Arab Gulf, they're like one of the most densely populated countries, despite like the size of Saudi Arabia. They like absolutely dwarf Saudi Arabia when it comes to their population. And also a lot of the other countries like Qatar, Oman, even I think Iraq and Syria. I'm not too sure about Iraq and Syria, but like, you know, they're very, very like, they've got a lot of people there. And over the years, you know, they've had like, they've been tried to be genocided, literally been destroyed. You know, they just, the people who are trying to do it just always fail, like literally just always fail. And I think that what's happened, like the kind of theory that Sophie and me were sort of like talking about, I don't know if we discussed this in the Red Planet episode where we were talking about Yemen and stuff, but it certainly makes sense that, you know, Trump was like, right, these Yemenis, these Houthis, we're going to fucking batter them, fuck them. They keep attacking the USS, you know, what are they called? The fucking aircraft carriers and shit like that. We're going to batter them, fuck them, it's fine. They, you know, they got sat down by the literal, like the US Air Force, the intelligence, you know, the top brass. And they were like, Mr. President, there's no way we're going to win against these Houthis. We've tried it for 50 years. It's not happening. We're going to be spending a lot of money. I know that you're really focused on cutting back the budget nowadays, Mr. President. If you want to save some money, probably just come to a deal with the Houthis. It's probably going to save us a lot of money. And Trump was like, oh, yeah, well, that's my language. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, that, you know, I'm not trying to diminish the fact that, like, you know, that is just basically the Yemenis like resisting and winning. Like, that is what it is. They had a 50-day battle with Yemen and lost, as you say, that vegan, you know. So there you go. It's good stuff. There's a line in Generation Kill about the insurgents are hard men living on beans in the middle of the desert while half the Marines piss and moan if they don't get the sandwich they want in MREs. It's very true. The US military morale is so fragile it falls apart as soon as their technology superiority can't bomb an enemy into submission. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why does the USA still think it can win a war with Iran when they would receive 100 times what Yemen gave? No. Yeah, it's wild, right? It's like the fucking level of belligerency that the US is showing towards Iran at the moment. I mean, you know, Trump loves doing that. Like, you know, when he was in power last time, he was talking about Iran. I think, didn't he bomb Iran the last time that he was in power? I can't remember. He just loves, like, you know, trying to be the big man on Iran. I think that he has... There's some level of like what Trump does where he's trying to figure out how to maximize his social capital with like everybody. That was it. He droned an Iranian general. Yeah. Iranian general. Yeah, that was the thing. He does like some level of like, okay, what social capital can I have with like every world leader, which is why he's doing this like peacemaker thing at the moment where he's like, right, even though I abandoned Zelensky, Putin, you got to sit down with Zelensky, you got to make it happen. You know, we did tariffs, but we're going to sit down with China, we're going to peacemate with China, it's going to happen. You know, we made peace with Yemen. You know, we're going to try and get Hamas and Israel to have a ceasefire, you know, all this stuff like that. He's trying all this business, and I think it's because he wants to maximize his social capital while isolating the USA. You know, basically loot the USA for money, you know, do like absolutely insane, intense fascist austerity, like to a million degrees. You know, that's kind of like his goal, right? His goal is to accumulate capital in wealth. His goal is to accumulate capital in social approval from various different states, you know. Yemen will have like an interesting view of Trump. You know, I'm not trying to say the entire Yemeni population are going to be like, you know, a fucking hegemonic hive mind, all in agreement, you know. But there will certainly be like an interesting view of Trump. It's like, okay, well, this guy, you know, was smart and made a ceasefire deal with us, and he didn't say that we had to stop attacking Israel. That's good. It's good that he did that. But also they're going to know that the USA is still funding Israel. It's, I don't know. I think they're still going to be very critical of him, but it's like, if he does these things, he knows he's going to get approval from various different countries, from various different leaders, etc., etc. His, social capital is going to improve. So I think it's all like part of the game. Again, like I did have that tinfoil hat moment where I was like, is he going to say it? Is Trump going to say free Palestine and withdraw all the funding to Israel? But I don't think that's going to happen. I still think that he wants to do this. Like, this is his plan, his renewed plan at the moment, isn't it? For like, all the population of Gaza to move to, Libya. So the Zionist entity can settle it. Essentially, but even if they did that, they would have such a hard time with the remaining resistance in Gaza. Even if they managed to get all of the civilians out of Gaza, the resistance would remain even beyond. Even if they settled Gaza, they would still be there. There would be like so many different attacks and shit happening. Like, there's no way that they will be able to like. We're gonna see how good the resistance is anyway at the moment. Yeah, he's trying to figure out which country to seek refuge in once he's run the US into the ground. Yeah, for real. The US always thinks it can win every fight. Yeah. The politicians either forget or just can't understand they can't win without boots on the ground. Even while their senior officers understand that their policies for the troops in country make it impossible for them to actually do the things that would make the people like them. Like in Iraq, the British soldiers would do foot patrols with caps instead of helmets, would play with kids. They learned some lessons from Northern Ireland. Yep. While US soldiers would be buttoned up in Humvees or armed to the teeth and treating everyone as a potential insurgent. Yeah, exactly. This is it.
In these massacre scenes, because Israel's targeting civilians, and the resistance.
Great takes, chat.
Waiting for the Israelis to advance, and as soon as they do, they are being hit. The Israeli media discourse is calling this stage of the war the Trump plan. But I'm going to give the usual caveat that I always do, in that Israel has a lot of plans, and the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza, and the resistance in Gaza does all their work to undermine those plans. And we know that many of these plans go to die in Gaza because they are defeated. But at this point,
right.
Army Radio released a statement the other day about the aid distribution. And again, if you didn't listen to Nora's news report off the top, you should go listen to that clip. It's an excellent report, and she covered some of that in her report. But Army Radio said that the Israeli plan to evacuate the north of Gaza is by creating new humanitarian aid distribution mechanisms to completely empty the north of its population. This is from Army Radio. Out of 4 distribution sites that Israel plans, 3 are in the south, based around the Morag corridor, and one of the 4 is in the south in the middle areas below the Netzarim corridor, south of the Netzarim corridor. Establishing these humanitarian aid centers, Israel's plan is to allow access for Gaza civilians located in the north to access the food distribution site that's south of Netzarim corridor, south of,
and then they'll just end up bombing him as well.
Separates Gaza City.
That's what's going to happen. They're just going to get bombed again.
The idea
will move to the south.
Plan,
Israel will bomb it.
According to Army Radio, the idea behind establishing the center south of the Netzarim corridor is that anyone who comes from northern Gaza to the distribution center to pick up the only food that there is in Gaza, they will not be allowed to return north of the Netzarim corridor. This will be a, quote, one-way ticket, Army Radio said, effectively compelling the Gaza population to move south of the Netzarim corridor in order to receive food. Israel believes that this will finally empty out the north of its population and contribute to
they don't know what they're messing with, man. They never have.
We know that these have been Israel's plans all throughout the war, and they have not achieved that. In the beginning of the war in December, they asked everyone in North Gaza to leave, and told everybody to leave. And we know that hundreds of thousands, as many as 500,000, never left the north.
It's explicit ethnic cleansing, yeah.
That is the case again this time. Their people will not be leaving their land. the way that Israel's plans suggest they will. So if we look at the next map, you can see this is the total destruction of the Gaza Strip. This is a map by Sergio Volkmar. It's a remote sensing indexing, bare soil indexing to estimate the soil water content from satellite imagery. So essentially it shows you all of the tilled, destroyed, upturned soil, and you can see from buildings or from agricultural land, you see the destruction of homes, destruction of commercial and industrial buildings, and of course the destruction of the agricultural land. And you can clearly see this, the outline of the Gaza Strip clear from space because of this destruction that we've seen and we've been reporting on for these 594 days. Take a look at the next map, and we'll start in the south. This was a map released by the New York Times that decided to cover the situation in Rafah. And you can see that's dotted line is the Morag corridor that I've been reporting on for the last few months. And you can see the destruction on either side. According to the United Nations Protection Cluster, 92% of homes in Rafah have been destroyed.
92%
is an ongoing process. And Netanyahu's been pretty open about this. He was open about it on March 31st when he said that Hamas will lay down its weapons, its leaders will be allowed to leave. We will see to the general security of the Gaza Strip, and we will allow the realization of the Trump plan for voluntary migration. This is the plan.
It's not voluntary.
And we are ready to discuss it at any
It's not voluntary.
So
it's
Israelis,
involuntary. They have no choice. They've made it so there is no choice.
South, making them go to the south to get the aid that is being delivered through a private mechanism of American and Israeli contractors who are profiting off of these centers. And they're calling this the Rafah model. If we look at the next video, you can see what the Rafah model is about. This is from a video of satellite imagery from 9/7/2, and you can see that this is Eastern Rafah. Last week, I broke down operations in Eastern Rafah, and you can see it just has been completely erased. This is the Rafah model for the Trump plan. Last week, I showed you the Rafah Brigade carrying out a series of operations called the Gates of Hell ambushes, and this is 10 months after the Israelis said that they defeated the Rafah Brigade. They came back a couple months ago and said that they needed to defeat the Rafah Brigade. So we know that these statements from the Israelis are for their domestic audience and to attempt to show military gains in this war, but they have achieved none of their goals. And if you want to reiterate their goals, they're very clear. They were, number one, return the captives through violence. That has failed. Destroy the Qassam brigades. That has failed. They're about the same size as they were when the war started. Destroy the government. They've not been able to do that. We had Asma Nabia on the show last week from the Gaza municipality, showing the heroic work that they are doing. And the number 4,
damn, we should check that out.
No longer a threat, and we know that that is not the case. You have an
voluntary in the same way that paying rent is voluntary, right?
People
exactly.
Growing up in Gaza, knowing that resistance.
You can not pay rent, but bad things will happen.
Resistance in all different ways.
If it's just you
on this show, all up till now.
If you get together with a bunch of other tenants who have the same landlord, or you're not paying rent together, would actually be pretty powerful. But check the law and the legal requirements of what you can do in the country that you live in before you do something like that. Anyway,
resistance of the school kids going back to school, resistance of the doctors rebuilding the hospitals, resistance of the municipality workers who are fixing the water, constantly fixing, rebuilding as the genocide is going on. And that is the resistance across society. If we look at this next slide, number 4 is the evacuation notice of Khan Yunis. So this is a significant evacuation notice pushing people out of Khan Yunis, a significant city and the refugee camp, as well as the 3 or 4 suburb areas outside the farming villages that are out to the east of Khan Yunis. And the Israeli military said that the IDF will launch an unprecedented attack to destroy the capabilities of the resistance in this area. We'll remember that the Israeli military was driven out of Khan Yunis in March of 2024 by a series of spectacular resistance operations that were called the Night of Power ambush that people can go back and look at. But just this massive evacuation of Khan Yunis. And I just wanted to show you this one more. The next one, the attacks on the hospitals here. They can't even keep this up to date. This is the World Health Organization's official tally. It was published last week, but just in the week that since it was published, and it only covers up to the 7th of May. But you're looking at your screen. If you're listening, we have 686 attacks on healthcare. 910 people have been killed in those attacks. 1,380 people injured. 122 health facilities have been attacked, and 33 hospitals, and 180.
Oh, it's just fucking the worst shit.
Attacks. Since this was published, Nasser has been attacked. The Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, the European Gaza Hospital in Khan Yunis has been taken offline. In the north, the Indonesian hospital and Al Auda hospital have been attacked. Indonesian hospital is out of service now in the last 36 hours, as is Kamal Adwan.
And we're on the other side of this now. It used to be, oh no, we didn't bomb the hospital. It was a Hamas rocket that bombed itself. And then it's like, oh no, well, we had to bomb the hospital because there was a Hamas base underneath. And then it was like, oh, well, there wasn't a Hamas base underneath. So, we thought there was, but never mind, mistakes are made. And now we're at the other side where it's like, yeah, we're bombing hospitals. We're on the other side. We're on the complete other side. And the world is still like, it's fine. We're going to just keep funding this.
4th or 5th time during this war that Kamal Adwan has been out of service, but again, they rebuild it.
I mean, to be clear, it's not the world. Like, the world is us. Like, we are the world, innit? Do you know what I mean? And we're all saying this is bad and it should stop happening, but this, like, minority of people are saying that it should keep happening, and they're enabling it to happen.
Israeli military, they had a change of command of their most highly trained special forces, their Flotilla 13. These are their best trained troops. They like to say they're equivalent to the United States Navy SEAL teams. In the second sentence of the accomplishments of the outgoing commander at this handover ceremony, the second sentence said, during the fighting, Flotilla 13 operated in 8 hospitals in the Gaza Strip, such as Shifa, Rantizi, Kamal Adwan, the Indonesian, Nasser, and Al Amal. So this is the Israeli military special forces bragging in their accomplishments of sacking these hospitals. That
it's depraved. It's depraved. They haven't gotten an inch into Al-Qassam's tunnels. They're not even talking about that. They're like, yeah, we went into hospitals, bro. It's like, what? You're supposed to be Navy SEALs. You're supposed to be that level of elite forces, and like the thing that this is great.
That have made multiple.
This is beyond the pale.
The Palestinians. So I just wanted to bring that up, bring that to your attention.
Oh, thanks, John.
Move now to the north. In this next map, you'll see the Shujaiya neighborhood. This is where we're going to be focusing on. This is a map from 2012, but I want you to see in the bottom, you can see in the center Gaza City and the old city, and then you see Shujaiya is to the east of that. And if you look along the pink buffer zone, which was the buffer zone going back a decade and a half, you'll see Al-Muntar Hill, and that is the hill that overlooks Gaza City. It's a key strategic location going back thousands of years of warfare in the Gaza Strip, and you can see it on the map there, and that's what we are going to be focusing on today. Just to set up Shujaiya, it is the birthplace of the Qassam Brigades, and it is also the spark, the area where the spark was lit for the first Intifada after breaking out of Israeli prison inside Gaza. Islamic Jihad fighters battled with the Israeli military in Shujaiya.
Damn, that is some fucking heroic shit, man. When you hear about that, it's like they were in an Israeli prison and they broke out and fought with the guards, it's like, yeah, man, sick. That's some sick shit. This all should be thought of in the same way, and like, again, I'm gonna invoke Bad Empanada here. No matter what you think of him, yeah, he's definitely like a bit of a fucking like a weirdo sometimes with some of the things that he's done, like some of the people that he like targets and stuff. I disagree with that, but he's absolutely right when he says that we should be completely ruthless in talking about this stuff. Yeah. We've got to be ruthless in talking about this stuff. This should be thought of in the same way as the slave uprisings. It should be thought of in the same way as the Warsaw Ghetto uprisings. It should be thought of in the same way as any other heroic resistance moment against the imperial core, against oppression, against slavery, against, evil, against genocide. Like, you have to be absolutely ruthless. Like, these things are things to be celebrated. It just is. You just have to be ruthless. You have to stand by the correct moral, thing.
And sparked the fire in Gaza that would become
correct moral position is to think of it like that.
Intifada. And in 2014, Shujaiya was famous for essentially repelling the Israeli ground invasion during Operation Protective Edge.
There you go.
When a convoy, the first convoy of the ground invasion by the Israelis, was met by Qassam fighters in Shujaiya, their most formidable battalion is in Shujaiya, and they met them and destroyed the convoy. They led to the death of 16 soldiers, 56
See you in a bit, Lohan.
And the Israeli military withdrew after 48 hours of pitched battle, tunnel-borne battle. The Israeli military withdrew and shelled Shujaiya, creating, up till then, the worst massacre in the history of the conflict. Of course, this war has dwarfed all of those previous understandings of massacres. We have daily massacres that are at that rate now, but you can see Al-Muntar Hill there. It's 1.5 kilometers from the Nahal Oz base. Nahal Oz is the main base that was attacked on the morning of October 7th, and it was a key pillar when it was overran of collapsing the Gaza division. There's been a number of operations in Shujaiya this week as the Israelis move inch beyond Al-Muntar Hill that you can see there. They're not even in Shujaiya yet, and they're already being hit with significant ambushes, which include Saraya al-Quds on Tuesday, a return to sender operation using a 2,000-pound unexploded Israeli bomb and detonating it against an Israeli convoy. But the operations that we're going to focus on today are it's a series of ambush. It's an ambush by Qassam that lasted multiple hours and is called the Lions of Muntar ambush. And we watched also the first operations after the ceasefire were on Al-Muntar Hill. We remember when Saraya al-Quds sniped soldiers on Muntar Hill. So they're getting hit before they're even moving.
I'm so sorry, chat. I've just realized I've not had the fucking captions on for this video at all. I'm so sorry.
Into Shujaiya.
I do apologize.
With that operation, with this next slide. The Israeli military and army radio, they described this as the fiercest battle since the ceasefire was collapsed by Israel. They reneged on the ceasefire. The Israeli military talked about 5 cells appearing from tunnels all around them throughout the course of a 2.5-hour battle. And it was a multi-layered counter ambush because as the commander here is setting it up, the Israeli forces moved in to set up an ambush, and they were spotted by Qassam, which we can see in this next slide. You can see the surveillance.
Incredible.
They've used pictorials here. This is the first time that we have seen Qassam use this because parts of this operation were not on film, but they showed us how this worked. We're looking at a pictorial here of a Qassam fighter hiding in the rubble, watching Israeli troops arrive at to set up an ambush. They're arriving in the middle of the night, and Qassam in the rubble. We have a fighter here watching and surveilling them entering this position. So they discovered the infiltration of the Israeli military and Hamas border police undercover Mistaravim. These are the undercovers that dress like Palestinians that were moving into this position. The commander opened the video by saying that the Israelis advanced at night and infiltrated into one of the houses in the Shujaiya neighborhood. Thanks to the vigilance of our fighters, this infiltration was spotted and ambushed.
Amazing.
The next day. According to Army Radio, they were setting up this ambush at this site. If we look at the next,
it's really like pertinent, I think, to comment on how incompetent the IOF actually is in their operations. Like this is like an infiltration attempt. Like, they really tried to be stealthy. They were like, right, we're going to dress like Palestinians. We're going to go into a Palestinian home. We're going to pretend to be Palestinians. And they fucking failed. They failed so hard. Qassam saw him and was like, got you. Game over, dog. We see you.
Slide.
Incompetency is highest.
Scene, again, another pictorial showing the zero distance ambush. There was immediately a soldier from the Hamas, the undercover soldier, was immediately killed, according to the Israeli probe. Qassam ambushed the site the next day at 4:40 p.m., tipping off an almost 2.5-hour battle. That
worse than cops at rallies. Yeah,
fire the Hamas.
Where'd you get those boots, officer?
The rest of this operation, the next 2.5 hours, are effectively the attempt to recover this counter ambush that Qassam pulled off. If we look at the next one, you can see the key factor was hitting from zero distance, ambushing the building where the soldiers were in, but then also, as we've seen throughout this war, Qassam cutting off the reinforcements. And that's what we're seeing here. We have a pictorial of three Qassam squad, 3-man squad.
It's crazy. It's like they just try the same tactics again and again, and they never work. But the IOF,
happened,
it's like units get ambushed, they freak out because they're all like inexperienced kids. They've never had to fight actual soldiers before. They've only ever fought not fought children. They've only ever murdered children, and like civilians. And yeah, they get ambushed, they freak out, they go, oh, need reinforcements, shit. And then the reinforcements come like idiots. Like, fucking, are they like, let's go, where are they? And they just get bombed. It's like, you do this all the time and fail. And then they send in, he's probably going to talk about, they send in the sperm recovery unit, where they want to, recover the bodies of the soldiers so they can extract the sperm to be used to make more Israelis. Yeah, mental.
The initial
mental
ambush,
stuff.
This is the first recovery.
But they keep doing it and they keep failing.
Immediately hit, which we can see in this next video. They were immediately hit by Qassam fighters that were set up in position for this ambush. We can see on the screen here the Humvee, open top Humvee,
straight in there, completely fucked.
The
direct hit. Holy shit, dog!
From the ground, and we're watching this from a cameraman who's up in a building.
Just like so experienced at this shit.
The first missile.
I knew that this was going to happen. I can't remember where I was talking about. I think I posted on Blue Sky about it. It was like, this is not going to happen. Like, they're going to try and do this ground invasion again of Gaza. Like, they keep doing it. They keep trying to send troops in. They keep getting creamed. They keep getting pasted. You know, the reservists don't want to do it. They don't want to get involved. They don't want to do the fucking fighting. A lot of them remember what it was like when they tried to fight Hezbollah. They got fucking battered by Hezbollah all the time. They were like, we don't want to go back to Lebanon. We keep getting battered. And the same is happening. It's not going to be long, folks. Summit is going to give pretty fucking soon. I'm certain of it. You know, they've tried with all of their fucking power, with all the backing of the most, amount of money from, the West, and they still haven't managed to achieve any of their goals. Day 594 of the genocide, and, year 100 of the occupation, they've still not managed it.
According to the Israelis, hit
77 years since the Nakba.
And 3 were seriously wounded in that Hummer hit. If the next slide we see is the tank comes after the Humvee. This is now stretching from 15 minutes to an hour.
It's always good to forget about the sperm harvesters. It's always good to forget about that. But then it's always good to remember about it as well.
But if we go to the next slide, we also have video of this from the operation.
To just remember how depraved the Zionist entity actually is.
You can see the Merkava tank there getting hit from the
direct hit.
Floor,
there you go.
From the ground level again, and the fighter filming it. It's slowed down here the second time. You can see it's a clean shot, no active protection system deployment. The Israelis said that at least 3 were wounded inside that tank. So you can see the efficacy of.
There you go. Successful operation.
By cross-referencing it with the Israeli reports. This next one is the second tank that gets hit, number 13. They're showing us here in the pictorial cutting off the reinforcements, and we're going to see this from 2 cameras. This is the first camera that we're seeing from the window, and a second camera. So they've got multiple cameras and multiple cameramen on this operation. This was half an hour.
And again, it's it's the fault of the Israeli military in being so invested in its own propaganda, in saying things like, yeah, there's just no way that people are dying in Gaza. Our troops are just like going in there and we're winning all the time. Right, next battalion, in you go. Oh, what happened to the last battalion, sir? Don't worry about it. They're fine. They fought really bravely. They've killed loads of fucking terrorists. Go on, get in there. And it's just like they just keep sending tanks in, and these tanks just keep getting fucking battered, like blown up, destroyed. All these troops are dying and they just don't report it. It's like, no, we're winning the war, man. We're winning. We got Hamas on the ropes, man. Get in there, bro. These like kids are just like, yeah. They're all like these fucking like, like the guys we saw before, like fucking what's his face from fucking Britain and all that shit.
Tank was hit, and again 3 wounded and 1 soldier killed inside that tank. The tank commander, according to the Israelis, the tank commander was killed in the platoon commander was killed in this Yassin strike, and the Qassam report on it. So at this point, there's now 2 dead and 6 wounded in this fierce counter ambush that Qassam is operating, and the Israelis are unable to extract their wounded because they're continually being
unable to extract the sperm.
Their pictorial of the tank, because Qassam describes this part of the operation. You can see the tank commander in this pictorial with his head outside of the turret, which
they're so stupid, man. They do this all the fucking time. They're like, this is what makes me think it's like if they have to be doing, I mean, it is reported that they're doing bad intelligence, like the IOF are doing like shit intelligence, literally, like I was just saying. They're saying, no, it's fine, we're battering them, we're winning the war all the time. So this like insane confidence where they're just like, yeah, fine. Like what's his face from Apocalypse Now, the US Army general who's just like marching along the beach and there's just like bombs exploding all around him, like landmines going off, people literally next to him getting shot and stuff like that. They're walking with that like same confidence, but that guy's like a movie character and it didn't happen. You know what I mean? And it's just like, what is going on, bro? Like, crazy.
We've seen them riding outside.
They do it all the time. Like, literally, John's going to talk about it now.
With his head outside of the turret, which we've seen them riding outside the turret before. Because this is now an hour and a half after the initial operation, perhaps they believed it was over. But we can see on the next slide that Qassam says that our Mujahideen carried out a heroic sniper operation from a house, which resulted in hitting the head of the soldier who was riding the tank. So that is a sniper operation, Al Ghul sniper operation as part of this ambush. And the next slide, you can see the safe house that the Israelis retreated to is under attack here by Qassam fighters. There's this audio track through this entire video is gunfire on this Israeli position. So in the house across the way, where they try to take cover. Another Qassam cell is on top of that. So these are why you hear in this Israeli investigation that went into this, because this story was a story in Israel. I reported on this ambush a few weeks back. This was from the 25th of April, because it was a big story in Israel, and they had to explain why there was 6 medevac helicopters for this one operation. And they had to explain the border police role in it. So we got a lot more information than we normally do out of Israeli field reports to corroborate the evidence from both sides. So a remarkable operation, the Lions of Muntar, and an indication of if the Israelis
6 medevac
into the
6 medevac
not
helicopters
yet, doing that, they will hit operations like this. And the next one is a video from Sarah Quds sending salutes to Yemen. We see them attaching stickers here to Gaza-made rockets. The first
hell yeah.
sticker says dedicated to the free and brave people of Yemen. The second one is a tribute to the commander of the Jenin Brigades, Noor al-Batawi, who was killed the Friday before this video was made earlier this week. So a week ago Friday, he was assassinated in Nablus, but he's the commander.
There's a fucking ant in my gaff. No, this is bad. I've got an ant in my gaff. Yeah, sorry, this place ain't for you, dog. Just gonna throw him out the window. Oh. Oh, chat, it's raining. Absolute bliss. Absolute bliss. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Maybe that's why there's an ant inside. I don't know. Oh, the petrichor. Beautiful. I love it. It's so good after like a really hot period when you get rain. It's actually cold. I'm going to shut the window. I was opening the window to be like, yeah, I want to smell that shit and I want to fucking feel that cool, but it's actually like getting a bit too cold. There you go.
We see them on the wall. You see Abu Hamza on the wall there, and you see Noor Batawi on the wall, and you saw Yahya Sari, who is the spokesperson for the Yemeni armed forces, on the wall there. And the voiceover on this says, "We salute the Yemeni people in all arenas, especially those in Al Sabain Square, whose voices echoed with strength." That's the place where the million-person marches were every Friday. And the voiceover says, also referring to something that we heard Abu Hamza say before he was assassinated, that, quote, "We extend our salutations to the great leader Abdul Malik Badruddin al-Houthi, whose detailed speeches about the battle, its course, and its consequences we, as the Palestinian resistance, listen to attentively, as if he were present with us on the front lines at the heart of the confrontation in Gaza, in a sincere expression of authenticity and Arab identity," they say about al-Houthi's speeches. And we also extend and salute the proud mountain voice of Yahya Sari, who is the spokesperson for the Yemeni armed forces. So tributes back and forth between the resistance factions in Yemen and in Gaza. And Abdul Malik al-Houthi, in his regular weekly Thursday speech, said to the crowds in Al Sabain Square, said, "In response to the message from the fighters of the Al-Quds brigades, we convey on behalf of ourselves, our people, and the fellow fighters of the armed forces abundant greetings, and we ask that God grant you and all your fighters in the Gaza Strip support, victory, and steadfastness." So communications, like we always see from the resistance, communications to their own people, communications to their fighters, communications to the other factions, and communications to the outside world, resistance in the outside world. So so that is the resistance report for this week from Gaza.
There we go, chat. Great news from the resistance. You know, they will keep fighting. They will simply keep fighting. It's coming up to about 3 hours that I've been streaming, so we'll just remind everybody again. Yeah, I'm struggling at the moment. It would be really good to get some donations. I do appreciate that things are tough for everybody at the moment, but yeah, any and all support would be extremely welcome. Yeah, I don't expect to be making a lot of money. I know that I've got £600 goal there, but you know, ideally that would be the amount of money that I'd be making from streaming. It's crazy that I've made £100, to be honest, from streaming this week. It's really good. It's to be honest, it's the most money that I'm going to be getting for a long time, so really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Literally, thank you so much. Yeah, we're not going to check out the Kerno demo video because thank you so much for the follow, really appreciate that. We're sort of like, I'm sort of running on a bit empty at the moment. I was out pretty late last night. We had the all member meeting at GMTU, and afterwards we went out drinking to celebrate the end of the committee that have caused so many problems. So that was really, really good. But unfortunately, people kept buying me drinks because people felt sorry about how I'd been treated. So I was out till about 4 a.m., 7 pints deep, eating a Rustler's burger when I got home. It was pretty fucking gnarly, to be honest. So we're not going to check this out. What we'll do is we will finish with this speech from Ibrahim Traore. If you don't know about Ibrahim Traore, he's the new leader of Burkina Faso. So he is talking about defying the West and defying neo-colonial power. I can't wait to hear it. Ever since I saw this pop up in my feed earlier, I've wanted to see what he's saying. So I'll make sure that the subtitles are on for this one. I'm tired because so many people love me. I mean, you know, to be fair, most of the people were literally like, you know, gone by probably about this time yesterday, and it was only because I was with like a core group of legends that I ended up staying out so late. So yeah, it's not necessarily loads of people, but you know, it's a fair chunk of people. At least 7 people, right? Because I got 7 pints. So there you go. Right, okay, let's check out Ibrahim's speech. I'm excited to hear it. It's about 8 minutes long, I think. Yeah, let's go. Oh, there's already subtitles on this.
Honorable delegates, heads of state, leaders of nations, distinguished representatives of peoples great and small, I greet you not as a career diplomat, nor as a man bred for banquet halls and handshakes. I do not come to you speaking the rehearsed language of polished politics. I come to you as a soldier of my people, as a guardian of a wounded land, as a son of a continent that has carried the cross of the world, yet has never worn its crown.
Oh, this is so good already.
Ibrahim Traore, president of Burkina Faso, and today I speak not only for the 22 million souls in my nation, but for a continent whose stories have been twisted, whose pain has been ignored, and whose dignity has been repeatedly auctioned off at the altar of foreign interests. Africa is not Tobago. Africa is not a battlefield. Africa is not your experiment, your puppet, your warehouse of raw materials. Africa is rising not to kneel, but to stand. And today I say before this great assembly of nations, Africa will not kneel. One on the false generosity of global politics. For decades you've sent us aid with one hand while extracting our lifeblood with the other. You build wells in our villages while your corporations drain our rivers.
Spitting.
You donate vaccines yet patent the cures. You speak of climate action yet continue to fund the very forces that burn our forests and dry our lakes. What kind of generosity is this? The kind that feeds the mouth but silences the voice. The kind that keeps a man alive just enough to keep him dependent. We are not blind to this hypocrisy. Let me be clear, we are not ungrateful for sincere humanitarian assistance, but we reject a global order that disguises exploitation as partnership. We reject financial institutions that lend with one hand and steal sovereignty with the other.
Hell yeah.
Africa no longer wants charity. We want justice. We want control over our own destinies. Too on the chains of colonialism and its modern descendants. Our wounds did not begin with us. They were inherited legacies of an empire-building madness that saw us not as humans, but chiefs, as cargo labor tools, My ancestors were not consulted when maps were drawn with rulers and compasses in Berlin. The
Real.
borders of Burkina Faso, like those of many African nations, were not carved by our ancestors, but by men who had never stepped foot on our soil.
Oh,
who knew
he's
nothing
so
about
good.
languages, our tribes, or our spirits. Today, colonialism has a new face. It wears suits, it hosts forums, it signs contracts in Geneva and Paris and Washington. But it still takes without consent. It still dictates instead of dialogues. It still silences instead of listening. If you want to talk about peace, then let's begin by unlearning the arrogance that peace is something only you can teach us. 3. On resource exploitation and the myth of development. They call us developing as if the theft of centuries did not set us back, as if the gold from our lands, the diamonds from our rivers, the oil beneath our feet did not build the very skyscrapers in which this assembly sits. Let us speak plainly. Burkina Faso is rich, Africa is rich in minerals and culture and wisdom and youth. But you have taught us to measure richness in GDP and export value. You call it development when a foreign company owns 90% of a gold mine.
Spitting more fire than smoke.
You call it progress when your security forces guard cobalt mines but not our children's schools. That is not progress, that is piracy with legal documents. From now on, we will define development on our own terms. Development that puts children in classrooms, not minerals on cargo ships. Development that respects the land, the people, and the soul of a nation. 4. On sovereignty and interference. Why is it that when an African nation makes independent choices, we are called unstable? Why is it that when we seek military cooperation outside the colonial sphere, we are
bars after bars after
Burkina Faso
bars.
has chosen to walk a path of sovereignty that is not a threat to peace. It is a declaration of adulthood. We are no longer under your guardianship. We are no longer your junior partners in diplomacy. We are a free people. If a nation chooses partners that respect it rather than exploit it, that is not rebellion. That is wisdom. Let it be known, no foreign power will dictate the alliances of Burkina Faso. We will build relations based on mutual respect, not historical guilt or present-day intimidation. 5. On terrorism and manufacture wars. You ask why there is violence in the Sahel. You ask why our youth take up arms. But you do not ask who benefits when our minds are guarded by private mercenaries, while our villages are left vulnerable. You do not ask how weapons arrive in deserts that produce no steel. You do not ask why peacekeeping never seems to end the war. The truth is, many of the so-called solutions to African security problems are merely business models. Endless conflict has become a market, and African suffering has become a subscription-based service.
Oh my
Burkina Faso has decided to break that cycle. We will fight terror, but not with dependency.
What a
We will
bar.
secure our nation not with foreign dictates, but with national dignity. 6. On migration and human dignity. We do not want our youth drowning in the Mediterranean. We do not want our brightest minds fleeing to countries that once called us savages. We do not want remittances. We want reasons for our people to stay. Why do our youth flee? Not because we lack beauty, but because we are made to lack opportunity. Not because we hate our land, but because our land is treated as someone else's property. Migration is not a crisis, it is a symptom of wars we did not start, of loans we did not need, of a world order that tells our youth their only value lies outside their own homes. The solution is not border fences. The solution is justice. For 7. On Africa's place in the world.
Hell yeah.
Africa is not a mistake to be fixed. Africa is not a failed continent.
Real.
Africa is the womb of the world, the cradle of civilization, the keeper of tomorrow's hope. We have been made invisible in global decisions that affect us deeply. At the UN Security Council, Africa with 54 sovereign nations has no permanent seat. What justice is this? You call it balance? We call it betrayal. You speak of democracy, yet uphold a global structure where the powerful few veto the dreams of the many. We will no longer whisper in rooms where we deserve to speak with full voice. 8. On faith and spiritual dignity. We are a spiritual people. Before your cathedrals, our ancestors sang to the sky. Before your missionaries, we knew the language of the rivers and the laws of the sacred forest. Christianity came, Islam came, and we received them not as slaves but as seekers. But now we ask, will the church and the mosque stand with us, truly with us, when all people are displaced by greed, masked as globalization? Will your pulpits echo our cries or only repeat the songs of the powerful? Faith, too, must be decolonized. It must walk with the poor, not the privileged. 9. On unity among African nations.
This is so good.
From one country, this is the stirring of a continent. You see Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso forming a new bond. You fear our unity. Why? because it threatens the myth that Africa can only rise under your supervision.
Yep.
We are uniting not to wage war, but to wage dignity, to pool our courage, to share strength, to protect each other when the world turns its back. Pan-Africanism is not a dream. It is our lifeline, and we will build it stone by stone, heart by heart, with or without your approval.
Yes.
To the youth of Africa, to the young boy selling oranges by the roadside, to the girl who walks 10 kilometers to attend school, to the child whose only toy is a stone but who dreams of stars. You are the reason we fight. Do not believe the lie that your continent is cursed. You are the blessing. Do not envy foreign passports. Be proud of your name, your land, your roots. The world may not applaud you now, but the future will speak your name.
Real.
11 final words: we will not kneel. I do not come to declare war, I come to declare will. So we will not kneel to fear. We will not kneel to foreign banks. We will not kneel to outdated empires masquerading as friends. Africa is not asking for a seat at your table. We are building our own a table where no child eats last, where no nation is silenced because it lacks nuclear arms, where justice is not filtered through the lens of race or history, but shared as breath is shared. This is our vision and this is our vow. Let the world hear it today and always. Africa will not kneel. Thank you.
Seemed like a bit of like editing went on there. Like there was like applause added in there. I mean, there should have been applause. Like, I don't know. It sounded like a bit of a repeated thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the quality of the of the recording or whatever. But yeah, you know, real powerful words, important shit. This guy does some great speeches anyway. Like super important. Yeah. Like just all the best shit. Literally all the best shit in that speech. God damn it. Crazy stuff. Chat, that's it for tonight. Really appreciate you being here. You know, keep your eyes on Africa. We're gonna see more and more stuff like this. Get that speech framed and put it on your wall. You know, we gotta fucking protect this man at any cost. You know, super important. Yeah, there was a couple of things that I didn't cover tonight, and I didn't get to do any gaming, but yeah, super like good stuff that we had a look at. And yeah, really appreciate everyone for coming in. Really appreciate all the donos, appreciate all the follows, appreciate the raid. Really great note to end on. Yeah, you gotta have that. You gotta have that hopium. You know, that's a key part of my streams, innit? You know what I mean? So let's think about a raid. Who are we gonna go and raid? I'm gonna put some food on. Have a good weekend. Yeah, Will, I'm going for a walking tour tomorrow with Tracy Rosenthal. They are from the LA Tenants Union and the New York Tenants Union. So really cool shit. Really based cool shit. So I can't wait for that. Take care. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here, everybody. Let's take a look. Who have we got to raid? It's not too many politics. We got Rhizome streaming. Let's go ahead and raid Rhizome. If you like my politics, you'll love his politics, etc., etc. He is currently checking out some Asmongold brain rot, so I'm sure everyone will enjoy that. Let's go laugh at Asmongold with Rhizome. I think I've spelled his name right. Yeah, Rhizome. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Yeah, have a good weekend, everybody else. If I don't see you over the weekend, if I don't see you in the Discord or whatever, I will probably be back next week on Monday. I'm planning on making a new video. Don't forget Red Planet on Sunday. I'll be there on Sunday. Check out the Red Planet Twitch channel. That's Red Planet Live. And also Red Planet on YouTube. I think we dual stream. I'm not quite sure how that works. I'm going to have to ask Conrad how it works because, yeah. yeah, I need to figure out if I can get back to dual streaming without using Restream. But anyway, thank you so much. Don't forget the raid message. Yeah, if you're not subbed, don't worry about it. Use the second raid message. I'll see you after the weekend. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. Love, solidarity, and peace to you all.